We're live. I just worked my way back out, give that spot a little rest, maybe pick up another 3-pounder in the ditch here. My biggest fish have come in the ditch.
Do you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. Because I am never disappointed out here, because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Ian.
Hell yeah! Angler's choice, baby! John Moore's, White River, Ranger, Triton, Nitro. Let's go, baby! Woo!
What the hell is even that?
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
He doesn't even have to go to today. He knows the exact tide cycle. There's no wind or anything that's going to mess it up. You might have a few boat wakes come in there and mess with him, but he'll be okay.
Reigning champion on the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals trail. He was the victor at Pickwick Lake back in early to mid-May. Won $115,000 that week, did Bank Shaw.
That was an impressive piece of machinery, whatever that's doing.
Yeah, imposing. Swinging over to Chad Mrazek now.
Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Well, we just got to another little place here. I like this little deal because when it's low, these fish are still kind of out here on the edge. They can't push way back up in there, and it's just a place that the current hits real hard, kind of swings around that bend and slams along this bank here. So just got here, got an early start, got some babies in there, but I'm glad to have something. I'm just kind of picking this apart, following the tide up. Going to check a bunch of different places. Hope to run into a group of them.
How is everybody doing this morning, everyone? Good to see. We are here for day number 2 of the Tackle Warehouse Invitational on the James River. We got some really interesting things going on right now. Keith Poche is still in the lead with with 38 pounds, 13 ounces. And then we got Bank Shaw in second place with 32.14. Going to be a really, really cool day. As always, when we start these kind of reaction streams, I'm going to show you guys real quick. Let me see if I can do this. Remove that. How do I pull? There we go. Cool. So set this as my backdrop to make it a little bit easier for everybody. Let me know how the audio is. So as always, we're just going to go with the tide charts here. From left to right, the Chester James is up a little bit closer to where Bank Shaw is fishing. Then you have Hopewell tide, and you have the Chickahominy River Bridge, just to kind of give everyone an idea of where we're at today. Very interesting. See the differences in tides. The farther up you go, that
show how expansive these big places, how one end of it can be good for a few years and the other end not good, and they can completely flip-flop.
That's Dustin Smith showing you one that's not going to make the team right there. Dustin, 8th place coming into the day.
And that's some interesting thoughts right there with it moving back and forth. Hunter Smith, Hunter, if you're listening, huge shout out. He talked about that. The James is good some years, the Chick is good other years. I think it has to do with boat pressure, fishing tournaments, and then we have to have the quiet elephant conversation in the room about fish transportation. You know, if you have years where you have a BFL, a Bassmaster Open, a Tackle Warehouse Pro Tour event, and it's out of Osborne or Hopewell, and you have 3 major tournaments over, and make the live full screen. Yeah, I'll make the live full screen. And then if you have the, what was my thought? Oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, so if you have multiple major events on a river that are at Hopewell or Osborne, but then what you're doing is taking and you're transporting 200, 400 pounds of bass to the main river. Yeah, that's probably going to potentially have an effect on the quality of the fishing. It's also, I think it's just pressure. If you have a lot of local events and things like that, that's held on the Chick, it's going to beat that down. And you can see the pressure moving back and forth between the two. So yeah, that is typical. And then again, I just want everyone to know that if you are new to this stream, guys, you know, Fishing the DMV here. I basically cover everything in Virginia, Maryland, at North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Basically at a granular level, I talk to biologists, guides, everything, every single week on our show. I had a biology report just done actually with the head biologist that did the shocking report for the James River, the Appomattox River, and even more caffeine, Appomattox River, and the York River as well. So anyway, what I was going to say is they're going to talk about F1s. The last time the Florida strain, which will sometimes be called on their side of the stream, or the F1 program. The F1 program was last done in 2016. So we are approaching actually our 10-year anniversary for the last time F1, or as they might put it, Florida strain, were stocked in the James River. So that's interesting. I think that's one reason you might see the weights go down just a little bit, because those fish, let's say if you were stocked, if these little baby 1-inch, F1s were stocked in 2016, they're approaching being 10 years old. So what you're going to have left in the system, I think, is going to be a lot of those bigger size fish, those 6, 7, 8 pounders. But in 2 or 3 years, how many of them are still going to be around? So that's going to be interesting, just from a just a ecosystem standpoint. When will the weight start dropping off, or will they ever drop off? To me, but I'm also going to keep the commercials competing, because I got copyright struck hard because of the stupid commercials yesterday. So just going to kind of keep that in mind there. And we are actually now live on Instagram too. So we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Again, just giving you my perspective on things that are going down here on the old James River. And then next week, we're going to be live from the Potomac, closer to my home water. I grew up in Northern Virginia. Now I'm on like the border of Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia now. Still Potomac River, Upper Potomac, really call that home. So it'll be fun to see what they do up there. I think the weights are going to be, they're going to be lower on the top end on the Potomac next weekend for sure. But I think you're going to have more 14 to 15 pound bags caught. If you look at this real quick, let me zoom in here. You get down to that check range. You're getting, let's see, 11 pounds, 9 pounds, 14 pounds, 4 pounds, 15 pounds, 4 pounds to get into the top 28. I think if it was a regular tournament for the BPT, you're going to need 14, 14, 15, 14, something like that to actually crack the top 30 for 2 days, in my opinion. Now, granted, still plenty of time left. You'll be like, Tom, listen, hey, it's only been 3 hours. I understand. Just in general, I think you're going to see a lot more consistency on the bottom half when it comes kind of to the weights that you're going to be seeing here. But, that's just me. I don't know. It's fascinating to see how that they've been. Oh, we got Roy Jones here. We got Roy that says, "Hey, Thomas, always listening to you Spotify podcast. Get host and coverage on your shows." Yep. Wait, hey, Thomas, always listening to your Spotify podcast. Get host and coverage on your shows. Get host and coverage on your shows. I do not know what the back part of that meant, Roy. But yes, I am on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube as well. Derek Smith says, not to mention the growth rate up here is a bit stunted from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, it is. So this is a good thing before I unmute the coverage here. I had David Wilson on, who runs the F1 stocking program with Chad down at Smith Mountain Lake. And if you want to go check out that episode, it's on the channel. He went through his whole PowerPoint presentation from the data survey. And it showed you the reason you stock F1s is because it gives you a bump in everything. So a regular northern strain at 1 year old weighs 1 pound. A regular F1 at 1 year old weighs 2 pounds. Does that make sense? A regular northern strain at 2.5 years old will weigh 2.5 pounds. A regular F1 will weigh 3.5 pounds. There's a slight increase in the size when you stock the F1s. That's what you're paying for, is they will have a quicker growth rate to get to that 5 and 6 pound pop, if of course everything else is the same, which comes to habitat and food. That's why you're stocking them. The interesting thing with F1s, allegedly, based on all the biology reports we've done on this channel, it's only that first generation that gives you that bump in quality of fish. If those F1s spawn, their offspring may or may not, based on the studies, have the same bump in their overall size, which is interesting to me. Now, is that true or false? I don't know, but that's what they have said on the show with all their studies and stuff. So that means you're spending $100,000 to $200,000 for that one generation to hopefully get big. And on the James, they did it for, I think it was 8 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Steve Chaconis, if you're here, I think it was 8 years that they did it. And it ended in 2016 that they were doing the stocking of the James. So if you have 6 years that you're stocking, let's just say 300,000 F1s every single year, how many need to reach adulthood to make an impact? Well, if you have a 200 boat tournament, let's say each person in the field in a 200 boat tournament catches 2 fish that are over 6 pounds, let's just say. And this is just rough numbers. 2 times 200. That's 400 fish. So out of the, let's just say 1.4 million F1 stocked in the James through its whole lifespan, you probably need between 400 and 2,000 to make it to adulthood. And what you'll see with your tournament weights is a dramatic increase on the top end. I mean, just think about it. If you put 2,000 largemouth that are fully adults in the river system and they're all over 7.5 pounds, and you bring the best anglers in the world, somebody's going to catch a couple, and it's going to create this crazy striation. Now, again, I'm just pulling these numbers off the top of my head. We can go through the literature at some other point, but that's just fascinating to me. And that's helped the James in the past. When you were in the middle of that stocking program, clearly it was more than just 1,000 fish that made it to adulthood, clearly, because that's where you're catching 24, 25, 26 pound bags. But again, I just want to let everyone know, the last time this place was stocked with that good strain was 2016, and it's 2025. So those fish are getting up there in age, and I am curious because there are still massive largemouth in the system. But what happens in 5, 6, 7, 8 years when those fish will have passed? Are we going to see a slow decline? But anyway, let's get back to the action here.
Don't get in that middle. Please don't get in that middle. Oh my God. We got a disaster on our hands. Come here, God. Yes, sir. There we go.
Coming up there.
Finally.
It just junk.
Gosh almighty.
Shopping carts. I don't know.
There could be
What a
that was
disaster,
plague
bro.
to
That's
get
what
that
you
in
come
the
to
boat.
downtown Richmond for right there.
That is, man, that thing looked like a sturgeon when it took
Fix to
off
get
around
right
that
up here, I
metal.
think. If we just keep daubing away at them. It's crazy how smart these fish are, you know. It's I threw a frog, chatterbait, everything right there, and I really don't feel like anybody ever fishes up here. I never see boats up here, and you throw a drop shot up there and bam, you get a bite.
That's a nice fish, so big.
4-pounder. We got a couple small ones we need to get rid of, but
That thing
that's all
jumped
that
like a
came up
smallmouth when he first hooked it. A 4-pounder came about 4 feet out of the air. It was a sweet jump.
I mean, we got some babies in here we got to get rid of. That'll work right there, boys.
Won't it though?
Nice call.
Cal Lane able to upgrade. A couple of hours into the morning, has his 5-fish limit. Getting himself
Got another
on track
one
to
there,
stay
same
up there
size as this one. So
in the
we can
top
get
2
both
by
of them.
day's end and within striking distance of Keith Poche. Let's take a look at a Phoenix replay.
Please.
As you said, took
This
off
is-
like a sturgeon.
Look at that jump. And then when he gets it over here, that thing went straight for all that metal junk over there. Good night.
Look how fast that thing got over there.
It almost looked like it scared other fish. There was so much going on behind that little metal thing. It's
not a problem in a Phoenix replay there for Cal Lane.
that'll get your blood pumping right there.
Fishing right by downtown Richmond.
Yeah, I think a key is, look how muddy that water is, and that scared a lot of people off from fishing up there. But those little run-ins right there have a little cleaner water, and he caught that fish. You saw where he set the hook. It was right up next to that, where that clean water's poured in.
A little cleaner water, a little bait moving.
Just pitching a drop shot around. It's been a pretty key player. I caught a good one on it yesterday, and I caught a giant in practice, like a 6-7 pounder on it. We just caught us a good one today, so see if we can't find another one.
Guys, let me know how the audio is right now.
That water pouring in right there just
We got
a little cleaner.
Whenever I was up here 2 years
Got
ago.
Poche has a limit already.
maybe 3
Jesus,
years ago,
yeah,
the
he's
last
got a
Tackle
limit
Warehouse.
already.
I came in here, the water was a lot cleaner, and I saw one. She had to be 10 pounds. She was cruising all up in here. Never could catch her, but I think that's what helped me the most is just knowing the fish were up here. Because if you on this main river, I mean, right here, kind of where we're at on this incoming tide, it's just straight.
Okay,
it's
good.
chocolate milk. And
good.
The only reason that I kept coming up here when I saw that chocolate milk was I knew that the fish were up here, and I just had to find them. And you just got some clean water coming in here that it's kind of almost concentrated them a little bit. So one carp might have disturbed us a little bit. We had a heck of a carp explosion.
It's also interesting when you look at the difference between a touring pro and a local stick. And I think it's interesting because it kind of reminds me, this is a terrible analogy. I mean, you guys may like it or not. In World War II, where the Germans would create really precise weaponry and they got so granular and it's like, oh, this is a really cool gun. And then the United States is like, we're just going to build this one rifle that's okay and just do it in bulk. And I feel like a lot of professionals get so like a lot of local sticks get so granular. Like, okay, this local spot here has won all these local tournaments, and it's this little neat little thing that no one knows about. But a guy will just come in from out of town and be like, well, on a map, this looks like a really good spot, and I'm going to go there. And all the locals are like, oh, well, that's the local community hole. Why would you fish there? And the guy from out of state ends up doing extremely well there because he doesn't outthink the room. He's not trying to get super granular. And again, there are locals that will still do well finding those super sneaky spots that win the local cats or the Potomac team series. But it's just always, I don't know, fascinating to me that then this guy from Michigan will come in here, look at a map and be like, oh, well, that looks good. And everyone like shits on him for fishing the obvious community hole, but he still does well. And I don't know, that's interesting to me that sometimes maybe we do as fishermen overthink it and make it too complicated that we have to find this super sneaky spot when sometimes the most obvious stuff is the best choice. I don't know. Just a thought.
Hey, right there.
And now with the muddy water and that clean water mixing,
I
it's
killed him in here on a frog yesterday.
been a deadly combination. Got a lot of that to himself up there too.
Andrew, nice watching an old school
haven't found
tournament. Yeah, absolutely, dude. It is.
Try to get to a little bit like what Keith Boucher's doing.
Yeah, like I said, I think what really spooked a lot of anglers from going up that far was that mud started to show up late the second day of practice, and definitely by the third day of practice, I remember guys saying there is a bunch of mud coming down the main river, and it's almost blown out, like unfishable. And that's when Cal said, it might be unfishable for you, but not for me. I know a couple little sneaky places where it's clean.
His
now,
updated total is
about
he actually
fishing Richmond's proper? That's the question.
And a two-day
I
total
believe he is fishing Richmond proper.
31.5 pounds would give Cal a definite spot in the top 30. Remember, he was 4 pounds behind Keith Boucher and in second place to start the day. There was a big separation at the top between those two.
Really
So
good.
Cal's going to have to catch him
Just up around the
and upgrade as the day goes on if he wants to stay within reasonable shouting distance of Keith Boucher by the end of the day. But that one certainly.
All right, guys, let me show you. I just found out where he's at. So let me share my screen again. Hold on. 5 seconds. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. All right, there we go. Screen is sharing. 5, 4, 3. And again, guys, so if you guys weren't here yesterday, Google Earth Pro is your friend. So this is actually a masterclass and also actually how to use Google Earth Pro. So you want to get the Pro version. It has 3D. Make sure 3D is actually placed on there so you can actually zoom really in and you can get the buildings to pop a little bit. But I kind of found this. I found the exact area. This is where he's fishing right now. Boom. think this is one of the areas he's fishing. Based on the building and the road like this kind of looks like the causeway he's fishing. But again, more or less, I may or may not be able to find each single place everyone is fishing, but what I'm trying to show you is with Google Earth Pro and the 3D, it makes it a lot easier to see landmarks and actually to be able to try to triangulate. And then, you know, you don't even have to do it for this specifically. Just fishing in general, having Google Earth Pro so you can actually really granularly see the blinds and how it pops on the screen is really, really important. Another interesting thing that they talked about as I bring the screen back here is the fact that they talked about the mud line. So this is not just tidal fishing. This is honestly just river smallmouth fishing too in general, just river smallmouth fishing 101. As water goes downriver, what's going to end up happening is like they just said, the northern part of the river is going to have the mud, and that mud is going to dribble down. But what will end up happening too is if you go up at some point, the upper portion of the river system will actually have cleaner water. Because if you think like it starts dirty and it has to pour through the whole system, and then at some point it's going to become clean, and then that clean water, and so you're going to have two mud lines at some time span. You're going to have the front mud line, which is pushing downstream, but then at some point what's going to end up happening is you're going to have the clearing mud line above pushing clean water downstream. So in theory, it's probably not going to happen for this tournament for him, but at some point he could actually get clean water. If, let's say, the tournament was, I don't know, a couple of days from now, he might have dirty water day 1, 2, but the water should start cleaning up. So it might not happen this tournament, but I thought it was a kind of a nice little thing to kind of let you guys know about. The other thing that he's dealing with too is the high tide. So I'm going to go back to this. Oop, let me stop sharing my screen because I put this as my back saver, actually. There we go. Cool. So here are the tides. Here I screenshotted them from a Tidal app that I have, just so everyone can kind of get a visualize. If you want to screenshot this, you can. Up at the Chester James River proper, it's about absolute high tide around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Hopewell area, which is near Appomattox River, it's going to be dead noonish. It's going to be absolute high tide or dead tide. And then you get down to Chickahominy River Bridge, which is the mouth of the Chickahominy. You're going to see that absolute high is probably, based on this thing, 9:45, give or take. So, but as you can tell from this, the closer you go to the Chesapeake Bay, or the closer you go to the Chesapeake Bay, the more difference you have compared to the Chester. Basic stuff. All my Tidal guys are bored with this, but I know I got a ton of people watching that may or may not understand all this stuff, and I don't think they're doing a great job explaining this. So in theory, at 8:30 a.m., you get absolute low way up at the James. You go all the way down to the Chesapeake. At that exact same time, you're almost cresting to absolute high. So this is when they talk about running the tides and getting different tide bites. Ballpark, generically speaking, a tide pulling out cleans up the water and it shrinks down the places the fish can stay. They're getting into a feeding mood. It makes it easier to kind of find them. An absolute or a rising tide that has a lot of water pushing into a creek, it's going to really push those fish and spread them out. Makes it a little bit harder to kind of locate them. And the water will kind of get dirty too. Generic stuff for all tidal fisheries. Of course, each tidal fishery is completely different. And then, of course, everyone's probably going to be saying, like, why aren't we watching it right now? They're on commercial break right now. So I just thought I'd be yapping my gums here for a minute, because when I played the commercials, apparently I got copyright hit really freaking really hard for copyright. So trying to not have that problem again, if I could help it. But again, what we have going on, Keith Poche is still in the lead with 38 pounds. Again, that 23-pound bagman really solidified him. And I feel like this is going to play out kind of like a Florida event, where you smoke a really good bag day 1, and then you're just trying to guts and nuts, 14, 15 pounds or less to try to hold on to the lead. I mean, and that was my initial thought on how this thing was going to play out going into it. But I would be shocked if only 120-pound bag is caught, I guess. Like, that's kind of my gut. It would just be very shocking to me if only one was caught during this event. Could be wrong, but, we'll see. We'll see.
The Captain John
let's get back to the action.
Water Trail. He helped settle Jamestown, America's original settlement, back in the early 1600s. And we've got a little bit of bass fishing history on the line here this week. Cal Lane is hoping to make that.
It's not a giant, but it'll definitely help us out. It's a stout joker right there. She's fat. Telling you, there's no telling how many fish are sitting down in there. Just got to get them to bite. Solid 2.5.
Got an interesting question on Instagram.
Colleen making some upgrades here. He's probably gained, I don't know, 3 pounds in the last 15 minutes or
That's
so.
a tiny one.
In this backwater area. I'm not sure that metal structure that's out there in the water was there when Captain John Smith and Pocahontas were running through the James River about
No, this is Richmond, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, they also didn't have dead bodies floating in the water like they do now. But I will say the quality of the water quality in the James has gone up a lot.
You can't hardly tell what's what in there.
Yeah,
what are you
like
doing?
About 12.5 pounds.
Which one goes? I think it's gonna be this one.
We talked about this a little bit last time, guys. When you're fishing a tournament in general, Aaron Martin said this, and I agree with him. You don't need 8 hours to to have a great day. And what he meant by that is take your time. Where Aaron Rodgers would sit down on the boat and he would redo his hooks. He'd redo his line. He'd drink some water. He'd eat some food. He would keep things organized and clean and put everything away. You know, when you start throwing all these fish into the live well and stuff, and you really are just, you're in the heat of battle and you're not willing to take the time each fish and weigh it, write it down, put a color code on it, it's going to save you time in the long run. Now I get it. If you catch a 4 or 5 pounder, I guess there's probably no point, depending on the lake yard. They're like, oh, I need to put a call tag. That makes sense. But just to save time to where you have this issue here. Now, I guess the counter argument is once you catch limit, you can sit down and do it. But I just think do it as you go. It'll save you time in the long run.
And we work our way back to Chad Mrazek. Mrazek had 19.5 pounds yesterday. He's got a small 5-fish limit today so far.
Good Lord, dude. You smacked the crap out of him. Dude, he tried to hit that thing 400 feet.
Well, that's 5.
Are you sure that fish ain't dead on the hook set? My God.
You're going to have to grow up a little bit. I think that's 12.
12-inch length limit. That one gives him 5.
Gonna have to do a little growing. Just lost a pretty good one. I think I'm gonna go rework that stretch before it gets too high.
So about 5.5, 6 pounds or so for Chad Mrazek. That's that 5-fish limit so far. 25.5 pounds for a 2-day total.
Roll that, chap.
And over to Bank Shaw. Finding some shade up along the bank.
Look how slow he's fishing. He knows exactly what trips those fish's trigger, man. He's got their number.
That one there will help us a little bit.
So we got Roy here. It says, try to find details on this tournament. Do they zero the weights for those 30 that make the elimination? Let me get that information for you. I don't believe they actually do that. They do have they flip-flop it to where the first day you can use scope, the second day you can't use scope. And then depending on if it's the third Friday of February, they will pick if there's scope on Sunday. It's interesting. It's complicated. Either yes or no. I mean, I guess there's more strategy in it too, but it's also like it's the James River. Like, whether you had scope or not, I still feel like Keith Poche would actually, I don't know, be up there. And he's not using, I mean, he's technically using scope, but you get what I mean. Andrew Redding, I treat fishing a tournament like a game. You need a chill moment to sit down, eat something, and drink water. If you don't fuel your body, you won't make good decisions. Fatigue. 100%. Thank you. These people that want to go hardcore and cast every minute don't take a single break. It's when you do that, and especially when it's hot out, you start getting like a heat stroke because you're not drinking water stuff. You make bad casts, you make bad decisions, you start bird's nesting. And again, I love it. Like, it shouldn't take you 8 hours to catch 20 pounds in a perfect world. You should have time to make adjustments. Keep your boat organized and clean. All those little things, because then you stay fresh and you make good. It's about making good decisions. It's about making good decisions. And I think this is especially true with the era of live scope, where you can, like, this is not a live scope tournament, but let's just say it is a live scope tournament. You don't need to cast 7,000 times, but you need to make good decisions on where you fish.
Here is Mitch Crane. He said stop number 2 for him.
Some of these docks on the main run have been key for him.
Well, it's slow. The tide's way, way, way out, but it is coming back in. I feel like my timing's off a little bit. It's just not quite enough water on them right now. I'm debating on what I want to try to do. If I want to try to go back up and catch the tide right again, or what I want to do. I got a decent little limit. I got one right at 3 pounds. I don't mind weighing in, but I need to get rid of the other 4 I have. I'm not really worried about that. At some point, we'll catch some 2-pounders. But my number of bites is definitely down, but also it's slick, calm out here. So I may have to get on like the windy side of the lake or the river and try to run this pattern. But I don't have quite as hot a start as we had yesterday, but I'm not concerned. We'll run into them at some point, and I would say at least get around that 13-pound mark. I feel like we'll eventually get to that, but still looking. The minimum goal today is 15 pounds, so, or as much as we can catch. I'm not going to back off any, but if we caught 15 pounds, I could accept that bag. So we're going to keep grinding away. This is the dock I caught a good one on yesterday. But this time yesterday, I had
Mike, I'm interested to find out where that wall is in the chick. Let me see which wall you're talking about, which angler, and I can Google Earth it real quick for you.
And the water.
Again, guys, Google Earth Pro is your friend. I feel like that's what we're learning here about it.
Is slowing me down right now on my dock bite, but if we have to go around the Chickahominy and run a bunch of docks, we can. I have a bunch down there that have a bunch of fish on them that I didn't run yesterday. But I don't want to have to do that because those fish just seem to be a little smaller on average.
Oh, this is our boy. This is our boy from yesterday. I think this is the exact same dock. I think he's fishing the exact same dock he fished yesterday. Don't we all wish we could find docks like that where they just refuel every single time?
Mitch said one thing he likes about tides is what he just
really not even getting many bites right now. Normally I was getting, no matter what dock you stopped on, you get a bite or two. This is the second dock in a row I have fished and not gotten a single bite on it.
You heard him said he feel like the tide's still a little
Like I said, though, it may just be a timing deal. I'll probably come back to some of my better docks another time to see if it was timing, because if it is timing, I'm going to have to adjust my timing up tomorrow, and I need to know if it's just the dock they're wore out and they aren't reloading, or if it's just something that I got to time up a little better. I don't think you can catch them all. I'm not really worried about that per se, but like I said, just slow. But we got a long day today, a lot of time, and it doesn't take but 4 of the right bites, so just looking for 4 bites.
Between 11 and 11 and a half pounds.
Yeah, Roy, he's down.
So far today.
He's down near the mouth of the Chick. He's down near the Chick proper.
Just a touch low on those docks, and then what he
And
likes
then
about tides
let's
is
see, interested with Chick.
you wanna
Okay,
go
cool.
find
Got
some
another
docks with a
question
little bit more
here
water on it, then you have-
on
you just
Instagram.
run 7 or 8 miles down the
From
river where the tide is a
195
little
Fishing
higher, and you
asks,
can, you
what
know,
is the tide level going on
he
right
said
now? Let me share
timing's
tide again, guys, just if people want to know what the tide is. Oop. I really hate that it does that. There we go. So tides right now, took a screenshot of it. Up near Chester James, which is way up north past Osborne. Absolute high is around 130. Near Hopewell, its absolute high is around noon. And then down near the Chickahominy River Bridge, absolute high is around, I'm going to say 9:30, 10. I wanted this visual because it's a lot easier to show on screen. You guys can just Google tide charts and it'll be a lot more granular with absolute low, absolute high. One thing I want to also keep in mind with all this too is it's not an exact science when the tides are. And I really want you I think it's a good learning curve for new tidal fishermen to understand that. So if you go out, and it says the best low tide's at 1 o'clock, and you show up at 1 o'clock, it doesn't mean the tide will move because you have wind, you have so many conditions. So that's where it's this weird thing about when you want to do a milk run pattern, don't get super granular with the timing. I think you want to try to get to a spot maybe 20 minutes ahead of time, maybe more, because it's been so weird. I've gone to the Potomac sometimes, and I know it's not the James. James has more tidal movement. And you show up, and for some reason, the tide starts moving a little bit earlier, or for some reason, the tide starts moving a little bit later. And you really want to be there. I personally think the perfect time to fish through that tide cycle for, let's say, low tide is when it's slick calm, and then you just start seeing the water start to slowly pull out. And then what it'll do is it'll gain speed, especially on the James. On the Potomac, it might just be a steady pull. And when it starts to have that little steady pull, those fish will start setting up, and then that's when that bite's going to get good. At least experiencing, that's what I've had success with. Some people have had more success with it when it's at the back end of it, but usually it seems like when that low tide starts to really start pulling is when the bite really heats up. But that, again, it's just my opinion.
Where they're going on under there, it covers a lot of water. It comes through that stuff really well. And especially on a tidal fishery where the water goes low and you can make a good cast way up under there.
Andrew's got a really good question right here. Talking about tide cycle, I wonder what's the catch rate data on falling versus incoming tide this tournament. Well, I mean, judging by the tide charts I just sent you, I'm assuming most of it's going to be a high tide bite, correct?
By these boat docks, we look at a guy who loves to fish shallow, and he's having success with it today. That's Keith Carson. Keith Carson, yesterday, opening day, he caught 13 pounds and 4 ounces. So it was going to be a fight to make the 30-man cut. He was just ahead of it coming into the day. He was in 27th place. But you can see he's gotten his total up to 26.9, which might be enough to get him through to day number 3. It looks like today is slower for the field. But Keith Carson has already nearly equaled his total today.
All right, guys, I want everyone to do a quick little screenshot. You saw the outflow there. You saw the outflow right there. You saw the duckboard walk. Take a screenshot, and I want somebody else to actually practice with a Google Earth Pro. Go find that. Get some practice in on your homework.
Over the top of this little wood wall.
Yeah, he was pulled up in kind of the same fashion right there. And I think when Cal was fishing it, the tide was coming in and the water was
Keith Carson
going into the lake.
Andrew, Keith Carson or Keith Poche? Which Keith are you talking about?
Keith Carson, the Florida native.
Apparently there's a pretty big backwater behind that wall. Sort of surprised Keith Poche didn't find a way to get his boat over that wall.
Well, he's still got time. Keith Carson, one of the Bass Pro Tour anglers in this event.
Oh, he just caught one.
His second season out on the Bass Pro Tour.
Oh, he doesn't have a camera guy today. That's like the third
Swinging
fish. He
that
fished
one
there
over the
yesterday
wall, just
too.
like we saw Cal Lane do yesterday.
It was Kyle Lane that fished there. Okay, there you go. Oh, they switched spots then. Interesting. So they flip-flop the same area. Let me pull it up on Google Earth. Here we go. Hold on. I don't even know what you call that. A duck board out pipe? It's not a poop pipe. Is it a rice field? Are they still making rice in the James?
Maybe an upgrade there for Carson. As he puts that one on the Bubba scale. Nope, not going to help.
Not that one.
He'll stay at about 13 to 13 and a half pounds. I think 26 and a half, though, even if he doesn't upgrade, which he figures to, I think 26 and a half will get him through to at least the top 30 and the ability to fish tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Oddly specific. A poop pipe? Yeah, so sorry about that. That's a little Potomac River. So a water treatment facility. Apologies. Yeah, so up in the Potomac River, we have a couple of water treatment facilities for bodily excrement. And so you pump into the river clean water, which creates current and stuff. So I call it poop pipe.
So that track hop into this Tackle Warehouse Invitationals. Thanks, Shaw.
Oh, we've made a few. Since we last caught a couple, we just made a little coal, about an ounce coal. One of my main places. It's definitely just it reloads throughout the day. I mean, I sat there and fished it for like 20 minutes, and couldn't get any more bites off of it. Pulled back up. One was already set back up on it. So I'm gonna keep on just kind of just running and gunning. I mean, I'm gonna hit these handful of places a bunch and just trying to time them at the right time, because I mean these fish will just pull up on some of this structure and just sit there for a little bit. Like whenever tide starts coming up and there's a lot more water moving, it'll just position those fish on those pieces of structure. So I'm just gonna bounce around and fish the ones that are visible. Right now I'm fishing a little I don't know, it's like a pile of logs. It's somewhere right there. I'm trying to hit it with a crankbait. Once I start to hit it with a crankbait, I'm gonna throw something else in there. Once I figure out the lineup on it, it's just really hard to tell where it is. It's right here somewhere. I just want to hit it with this and make sure I know exactly where it is, because it had a bunch of fish on it yesterday.
Sorry, guys. I'm on
a few places that I haven't even hit yet.
I'm on Google Earth right now trying to figure out where exactly all this stuff is. We got Oddly Specific says, Sleater's got good bass. I've been skunked there so many times, I started to believe it was lifeless Chernobyl zone. Kyle I. Oh, yes. Plentiful with bass. Yeah, it's just Oddly Specific. Do you have a boat or a kayak, or are you fishing from the bank? That's the biggest thing. We don't traditionally bass stuff. We crappie fish a lot and catch big bass. Yeah, dude, crappie fishing at Sleater's is really good if you have a kayak or a boat. All right, let us try to find out where he was fishing. I am looking. I cannot find. It's definitely a plantation. It's definitely the dams at curled neck. And so guys, what I'm doing here is, oh man, I'm gonna get schlacked for that. So all right, well. Oh well. If I get hit, I'm not monetizing this live stream at all, so that it is what it is. All right, I'm gonna pull up right here. Come on. Computer's slow. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. So where he was fishing, Keith, he's fishing near a plantation. Probably Curl Plantation. Where would the dams be? I don't see duck blinds or duck boards there. Can we just still be in awe and shock about how good this mapping software is? It's absolutely insane. Right here? No, not there. Bird neck. I mean, it kind of looks like this, kind of looks like it, but that kind of looks like where he was fishing. But it's not white, and what he was fishing had like some really good white, clean boards. That's the gravel pit. And if you guys don't know, we're on commercial break, and I'm just not playing the commercial so I don't get hit for copyright worse than I probably already am. Let's go with plantations. Because I know it looks like a plantation thing. So maybe there's another plantation. Plantation. I guess it's rice plantations. Curls neck plantations. Let's go with plantations on the James River. Yeah, and this is guys, this is how you do it. This is how you do research. You know, you want to know what helped me in college and stuff was doing map studies, was doing stuff like that. Let's see. So that looked like an outpipe for a plantation. So I just Googled plantations on the James River. Let's open this in maps real quick. So now we got all the different historic plantations. No. And then if you really want to make water pop more, switch to a terrain map on Google, and creeks and stuff will pop out more. And you can use this with Google Earth Pro to help. So let's see. There's this plantation here. Okay, this water cuts across into there. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and you got Vermeer Plantation. Interesting. So it should be right over here. Interesting. I will continue to look for that exact rice paddy, but I really do think that we already found it. All right, let me go back to what I was sharing initially. Sorry about that, guys. And I'll continue to kind of look for it and see if I can find it.
James River. Keith Poche, 24 pounds on opening day. He's added nearly 15 pounds today. And a lead that was 4 pounds to start the day is almost 6 pounds.
Yeah, you can. If you're on YouTube, you can always scroll back on the live stream, guys, which is kind of nice. I don't think you guys knew that. But when I'm live streaming, I give permission where you can like scroll back and forth. So you can start at the beginning of the live stream or scroll back and forth. So you can always do that as well if you miss something. I'm sure we'll have another drought later this summer. I don't know. Like, can you have a drought when we've been drowning for 3 months, dude? I have no idea. Let's see, we got Kyle I in the chat. I get so deep in Google Earth, I'm lost in Hampton.
And finished third when the Bass Pro Tour visited the James River.
You have two, Andrew. You want to have two maps going. You want to have just Apple Map or Google Earth.
And this was a nice one that he got just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, sometimes you got to put a lure where other people have it, and that's what Keith Carson's doing right there. There's a little pipe that comes running out of there that's also making some current coming out of that backwater pond. Looks like he had to get the net out for that one on the long-handled net. I mean, get over that wall and put those fish in the boat.
He's got over 14 pounds today after just over 13 pounds yesterday. So today's been a little better already for Keith Carson. Mitch Crane, 20 pounds opening day. So far today, a smaller 5-fish limit of about 11 to 11.5 pounds.
Mitch Crane is in heaven right now. This is his second trip to the James River. The first trip, he just fell in love with it immediately, just clicked with it. He said he gelled with it immediately the first day of practice, and that was a couple years ago. And he's always wanted to come back. That's how he got in this tournament. Chose to cherry pick it out of the lineup, and he's making good use of that low tide window.
Cal Lane finding these spots that nobody else really wants to go. It's kind of muddier, but when he finds little clear pockets,
it's obvious. You wonder if it's just local fish population. You know, he's not going to get the size, but I think in a multi-day tournament, you don't need that size consistently. You know, I 100% agree.
Stirred up a bunch of carp.
Canals too, 100%.
Bigger than most of the carp right
They
there.
say
Nice
West Virginia is still in a drought right now since last year. How much of that's true? But it's Appalachia, man. Like, you wonder how much those mountains up there in Appalachia actually stop water from getting to certain places.
On a drop shot, and said threw several baits in there first to prove how smart those fish are. Had bombarded that place with 3 or 4 other baits and threw a drop shot. First cast, the drop shot got it.
20 pounds yesterday for Cal Lane. He's got about 12.5 pounds so far today. Bank Shaw, 19 pounds, 2 ounces on opening day. Today, he's already up around 14 pounds, giving him a 2-day total of 33 pounds.
Yeah, nothing seems to stir this guy up, man. He's just calm, cool, collected, and he came into this tournament leading the Angler of the Year and knew this would be the kind of the riskiest tournament for him. Not a lot of experience here. Tidal water, a little out of his wheelhouse, but he has mastered it pretty quickly. Had a great day yesterday. Fishing right up in the Richmond area. Never went very far. Targeting these fish that are kind of set up on little sticks and logs and little rock piles and stuff there out there off the river. Even without his forward-facing sonar, he's still putting plenty of fish in the boat today.
And Keith Pochet remains the leader. He caught 23 pounds, 15 ounces yesterday. So far today, he also has the best day of anybody on the water of just shy of 15 pounds.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how many did Keith leave in there for the next day. You know, that I think he's already been in there and gotten out. He knows he's got a nice lead. Probably went in there knowing that he didn't need to do 24 pounds again. He has a solid day. He's going to be up 5 or 6 pounds. That'll be hard to overcome in the next few days. But that little ditch right there running into that backwater pond has been key. Nobody else can get in there on that low tide except for him with that little boat. When the high tide comes, some guys can get in there, but then the fishing's not near as good because the fish are really, really spread out.
So a lead that was about 4 pounds to start the day is now about 6 pounds for our leader, Keith Pochet. Inside the MLF Now studios and alongside Rob Newell, I am Chad McKee. If you look up and down our unofficial leaderboard today, by and large, it's a tougher day for most of these anglers so far. Now, Keith Pochet has not done what he did, but you got guys like Keith Carson, Nick LeBrun, who has won here, is another who's having a good, solid second day. But do you think the reason for the drop-off weight-wise so far is because there's no forward-facing sonar available, or are there some other things at play right now on the James River, Rob?
I think, the forward-facing sonar has a little bit to do with it. Chad Mrazek relied on that quite a bit yesterday, and today he's not using it at all. I mean, he's still catching some fish, but the James is a place where you can just really pick up a bait, just go down the bank and, catch you a 10 or 12-pound catch. Other than that, I think, you know, some of the fishing pressure up there around Richmond starting to get to some of those areas. You see even, you know, guys fishing the same area, those places that Cal's going to. He has them to himself, but he's putting himself some pretty good pressure on those places. And, you know, they're kind of tiny places, those little fallouts. So over time, they tend to dwindle.
TH Marine roadmap to victory, the key to taking it home this week. According to Rob, fishing the low tide window upriver. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, ever since the tournament started yesterday, the guys that put their trolling motor down right there in that Hopewell to Virginia,
what canal, Andrew? What canal are you talking about? Jesus, dude! Like, sounds like you're on Adderall. Hold on.
To fishing, the tide was at a low, almost a negative low. All of the ice.
I do love everyone that he is showing you the low tide window, but they're not giving you a tidal map. So since they are not going to do the obvious stuff, let me help you out here just to kind of expand on what he's saying. These are called tide charts. Apparently the people that put on this thing don't know how to find these. So if you go upstream, the farther upstream you go, this little circle right here, the very bottom of this, will move to the right towards noon. Okay, so right now with the tide cycle, the farther up you go, the more of a chance you have of getting a low water, good God, a outgoing tide bite. The farther south you go or towards the Chesapeake Bay, it's going to be later that you get that water leaving the creek. And so that's what he's kind of talking about there, if that kind of makes sense. Let's get back to the action real quick. But yeah, I just want to make sure you guys, I'm going to keep throwing that up there the best I can. All right, let's get back to the action.
Trying to work his way through some more of them.
Oh, there we go.
Water continues to come up. I think Mitch is kind of searching out the zone on the river there for the right docks that has the right amount of water on them.
It wasn't a big one, but it wasn't a little one neither.
You might have to duck for that.
Heads up. Low bridge.
The Elizabeth River runs from Portsmouth and dumps into the Sound, runs by the Great Dismal Swamp. Okay, thank you. Okay, so are you just dropping good knowledge, or is this associated with somebody fishing there? Kind of trying to see your train of thought here. That's cool to know about the Elizabeth River.
Floats
are
up and
people
down
fishing it,
with
Andrew?
Rising and falling tides. I guess he figured he'd try a floater type dock.
No, it's me being lost in Google Maps. We'll do next commercial break. We'll do another Google Maps section.
I think my purple's going.
There we go. Everybody in. And all clear.
I think yesterday he was talking about how the end of the dock seemed to be the key player all the way out on the end.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Jason Turner. You just talked about tide. Yeah, no, I just talked about it, and then they kind of reiterated it. But, you know, because we're live streaming right now, we got about 60 people watching. And again, please, if you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, it does help me out in the algorithm. It pushes it out to more people.
A decent fish, nothing major, but it was a 2-pound something class fish. It looked like it. I don't know, he wasn't on for very long. He just didn't get it real well. The front side of this dock yesterday is where all the fish were on it. So About to get on the
Chaz Currington in 10th place. Let's go.
Still grinding away, still slow. I think it's tide related and not having any wind. I need some breeze to blow, but I don't know that we're going to get that wind. But some of these docks I may have to revisit later on a better tide. That's what I'm.
He got rudely interrupted
See how
there.
dark these fish are?
Look at that. He got a
Dankosaurus. Yesterday, that all these fish were so dark on them. I don't know. It has to be something to do.
Oh, this is our
For
doctor.
the life of me, I don't understand it. Because the water's not that clear here. So, I mean, this will cool though. So let's get rid of that little bitty guy we got in there. Bob scale fired off. Well, I say it'll cool, it might not. Got a cool at 113. Says it's 114, so this we cooled. Now, I'm gonna find the one that's the one.
Are you guys hearing it okay on your end? The announcers and everything? Please let me know. I just adjusted some things. Can you guys hear them okay?
But my color scheme, I didn't.
Simmer down, boys.
We have. Okay, cool. Cool. We can hear. Okay, cool. So we got an interesting thing right here from on Instagram from Bill's Bass. No, it's not haul poaching. Every commercial break I have Google Earth on, and we're gonna work through it and stuff. Because again, I believe if you are a guy that can look at this canal that Blaine's fishing right now, example.
As we slide back over to Cal
if you can take a screenshot of that image, and through Google and Google Earth, you spend 6 hours and find that pipe. Congratulations, you can fish the damn pipe. If you can do some CSI shit and solve a murder, it's your spot. There's a difference to hole punching where you're just driving around and following the dude, in my opinion, and then you see it and you hit the waypoint, versus you can somehow spend 17 hours online figuring things out and eventually kind of copy it.
Please,
I don't know. That's just me.
What does Cal Lane have a hold of here, potentially?
Oh, no, she's got one.
Oh, he's got the electric brakes. I thought the electric brakes were illegal for bass fishing in general. That's so cool.
Sir.
I thought the electric brakes were illegal.
There you go.
That's what we like to see right there, boys. That's a...
What the
That's a
hell?
toad.
Are those boxes? What are those? What the hell are those things? Are they batteries?
Hook fell out, too. Thank you, Lord.
What's in the seat?
He got all
Curd
up in there
fishing. I guess they could technically fish the Elizabeth River. Don't know if they could go through the locks and Great Bridge. No. Andrew took way too much caffeine this morning and just went on a Google Earth binge because on commercial breaks, guys, I'm walking through doing just kind of Google Earth breakdowns of where people are fishing.
4.5. 4.5 pounder, downtown Richmond. Thank y'all.
There's the cheering section.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. I knew there was one in there.
So that's going to get Cal to near 15 pounds for the day. He now has one of the best days going. Got 20 pounds and 1 ounce yesterday on opening day.
Good when you're calling them. Well,
every time I'm watching fishing, I think of comedian Brian Reagan, who does a bit about watching fishing.
Yeah, this is
I'm not even fishing, I'm watching
hole.
fishing. I gotta get a life. Yeah, no, I feel you there.
Up in the current. And it's kind of what I've related everything to, was just I had to be in current no matter what I was doing. Even with the tides, it's like slack tide, I couldn't really get bit, and I just tried to think of a way to find some current, constant current, you know. I feel like a place you feel like you can always go and get a bite, and I found a couple of places like that. So we need to keep upgrading. If we could put a 6 in there or something, we'd be sitting right where we need to be. But buddy, I'm thankful for that one. It hook came out when it got in the net.
What is he using? I'm trying to see it right now. It looks like a
line was wrapped around the prop.
see what he did just there? Move the camera away so he doesn't show off the bait. That's exactly why he did that, because
But
who
we
the hell
got
is
her.
like, you know what? I'm going to show you this great
That's all that
cinematic
matters.
shot of a pipe. Robo-worm, pink robo-worm.
You see how high that
It's
fish
a drop
jumps
shot
out of the water?
You can see the weight down there by his leg. It's a drop shot. Oh my God!
They
Spoiler,
get in this
guys, the
current and they're
secret
hard
drop
to
shot for
handle.
tidal fishing. Who would have thunk that works? See the line down there by it? And he's hooking it wacky style? No, I'm wacky. I'm retarded. I'm sorry. Just, yeah, straight up. Yep, it's drop shot. Why would I say wacky? I just had a stroke. Texas rig. Good God. But yeah, it's drop shot. Pink robo worm.
It's crazy. I've thrown through there 10 times. It's like I know they're down there. It's just you got to get them to bite.
Who what now? It's a pink robo worm is what it is, or a pink and blue thylated.
Cal Lane just finding these places where the water is muddy, but getting clearer because of the inflow and outflow that he's been able to find drains and little pockets. Really, it's the backwater areas of these pockets.
That's hilarious.
They've been interrupting a little brunch up there on the dock, but putting on a show for those folks.
Yeah, he's got 5 or 6 of these places, and I mean, they're just.
Had one.
Those
Felt
folks
like
are
a
trying
little
to get out of the mud, and they like that flow. And I'm sure there's plenty of bait around those areas.
Out to Bank Shaw.
We just made one little move, kind of a similar place. I mean, it's a little rock row, some structure around it. Right after we got off live last time, I did lean into a pretty good one, but I'm not going to worry about it. I didn't see it or anything. I just heard it jump. It was like straight behind the boat. Couldn't really do anything about it. Feels like, oh, what the heck?
Catfish? No, he snagged.
Oh, it must have been some fishing line or something. It felt like one. It started swimming over to the left or going to the left. But, yeah, we leaned into one. Pretty decent fish, it felt like, and it come off. We ain't going to worry about that. I can probably catch him tomorrow. I don't know what that is. Something weird right there, but we're just going to keep on bouncing around on these structure holes. A lot of rock, a lot of wood. This tide is coming up, I think here in about an hour probably. I'm going to put a crankbait in my hand and cover a lot of rock. Just because I think that's an easy thing to do on a day like this, whenever I can't really target these isolated pieces of wood that are submerged. So, I mean, I'm gonna run around and fish a few visible pieces of wood and some bigger places where I know I can easily hit them. And I mean, we're just 2 or 3 bites away from having another really good day. We have plenty of time left. I think seemed like yesterday, kind of what I expected. I mean, a lot of these places I can kind of pull up whenever and catch fish, but that high tide's definitely better for some reason. It doesn't really make sense because you'd think the fish would just go up shallow.
I saw an
and kind
article
of
last
scatter
night,
out,
and the guy you were calling
lot of
the
these
surgeon
places, like,
is
it's so
indeed a
shallow
dentist. I
right
know, and
now.
he was the guy that was like, did
They,
you know that the northern
they're a
strain
lot better
lives
when it's
up
high
north
tide.
and the southern strain lives down south? And yeah, that was a whole shtick I did. I think I've made it a little short of
It's
that.
gonna
That
be
was
right
that
at
was
the end of
wild.
the day, which I have plenty of time to fish the high tide, which is going to be
So yeah, and that's
pretty crucial.
In good position, though, is Bank Shaw.
oh, he's got one.
Getting better here.
I don't think he'll help. Still a bot though. As many of these we can get. We're gonna run across some good ones. I don't think he's gonna help. Gotta get rid of a 2-pounder right now. That's probably right under 2. Let's double check them. Did just coal up by an ounce, so never know. Yep, about 2 ounces short.
So no helper there for Banks Shaw, but still just shy of 14 pounds today. Had 19 pounds 2 ounces yesterday, and just sitting comfortably.
All right, guys,
there
I'm
in
going to put
about
this in the
place
chat. This
unofficially.
link. Here's a document
Plenty
paper
weight to make
of
the
every
30-man
single
cut.
culvert pipe on the James River. It's a
And
scientific.
maintain his spot at the top of the Fishing Clash Angler of the Year race. Back to Cal Lane.
Okay, I just put in the episode description a PDF of a a government paper talking about the culverts on the James, so you guys can find every culvert on the James River. I do love the women, just, they don't know what's going on. Oh, never mind, I said it's a woman. Jeez, that's a cameraman. Sorry, dude. So, I do think this is... I just want to say, like, what's interesting here, so there's a pattern. A couple of guys are finding water discharges, whether they're pipes, culverts, water treatment facilities. They're looking for current and moving water, which is fascinating to me right now, that this is a pattern that multiple people have found. It's not always the best pattern on these bodies of water, but it's a consistent pattern, because if you find consistent current, you can catch them basically throughout the tidal cycle. You know, this guy called Lucas won on the Potomac River when Bassmaster was here a long time ago, and he went up to the poop pipe on the DC side, basically. And there was a big industrial dock right there, but he went up there and he absolutely killed it. So and again, there's a constant group of fish that live up there. There's current, and you can consistently catch them through the tide cycle. Now, it's not always, I think, the biggest fish will be there, but there's always going to be fish around them, if that makes sense. And I think it's interesting because this is a touring guy's, I think, view on it versus a local. Whereas like a Chaz who's in this event, he knows that river probably better than he knows his wife. He really knows it. And I've always wondered, like, does that hurt you having that knowledge of like, okay, the biggest fish live here and here and here. But if you're a guy from, like, again, Michigan, you just come in here and you're like, well, these are the obvious places on a map I can go and I'll have success. And look at how those people are doing versus maybe guys that have a granular knowledge of the place, which to me is fascinating. And then again, it's tidal. It's meat and potatoes, shaky head. The drop shot will play, pitching and flipping, chatterbait, like the just meat and potato type of baits right now, which is fascinating to me.
Gosh dang it. Come here. Something's wrong. I must have not tagged one of them or something here.
Dude, we have like over 50, 60 people watching right now on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Please hit a like. Please share it to your Facebook page. Get more people to watch. This helps me out in the algorithm. And just hit the like button. Let's get as many likes on this thing as possible.
It's so hard because you can't see anything in the live well. I mean, you can't see anything. That's the one I'm trying to get right there. Going back. Now I want to make sure I know which one goes next.
I figured it's a bowl, bubbles and movement, maybe some mineral stuff attracting. But yeah, moving water, oddly specific, will always generate. It'll generate current. It generates a kill zone too. So it's such a weird chicken or the egg thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. Is it's with the current? Is it because it's bait or why? And I think you can have arguments. There are multiple arguments, I believe. So one argument I have is it's a kill zone. If you have current constantly pumping, a fish can just chill there, a predator, and food will be blown into his face. So it's a great kill zone that he can set up to feed. And he doesn't have to do a lot of work. You know, he can just sit there, have water pass through his gills, it's highly oxygenated, and just eat when things come by. And because there are eddies and stuff that will form, he can slide left and right to get out of the current, get back into the current, get out of the current, back into the current. So I think that's one side of it, just from a predatory response, is the best way to go. We got Seth Trice here. Seth Trice says, I caught a 7.84 on Chick Lake last week, and it looked like a northern, but who knows with how diluted the F1s are now. Yeah, in general, like, again, with the F1s, the first generation of F1s will always have a higher growth percentage than a true northern strain. So a 1-year-old northern, let's say it's 1 pound, a 1-year-old F1 would be 2 pounds in general. It's not this absorbently massive difference, but it is a good solid difference. That it is easier to get a 4 to 5 pound F1 than it is to get a 4 or 5 pound northern. Great example of this is when the BPT was at Smith Mountain Lake. Go look at the Smith Mountain Lake. All those fish, I personally think a lot of those fish were F1s, and they were bright green, they were healthy, they were thick, and they were in that 3 to 4 pound class. They were solid fish, and there are bigger fish in there. And I think what F1s will do to you, he's hooked up right here. Dude, he's throwing that thing dead nuts into the culvert. Oh, that's bait. That's catfish.
That's not going to make the team that he's got already.
I think F1s can get you to that 4 to 5 pound average in your body of water. Do I think it's always going to give you this extraordinary? Look at this. This northern is very chubby, and then this southern, this F1 is very long and skinny. Two different distinct observations, but the way he put that into a word smoothie, it was crazy. All right, so back to the map study, because all you guys like this because we're on commercial break. Sharing my screen. Good Lord, my computer's slow, guys. I need to get another spa. We got Instagram. Breaks are not allowed in back. Okay, yeah. So I'm back on Instagram. Bill says, don't want a spot bust, but do you know where Keith Pichet? Yeah, he's fishing a backwater creek that's usually off limits for local events. I think it's Connery Creek, I think is what it's called. If I'm not mistaken, that's kind of where he's at. But again, like it's a creek that's usually off limits to locals. Well, when we have local events, but I guess the MLF said like it's perfectly fine. So, you know, hopefully that helps. I think it's Coronary Creek, I think is what it's called. It starts with a C, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I could be wrong there. We got Mark Water Fishing on Instagram. Guys, if you have questions on Instagram, I can't share them on the screen. I'm sorry. He says breaks are not allowed in Bassmaster, not MLF. Oh, okay, cool. That's good to know. That's cool. I think breaks are cool. It's just a neat idea just to have the break stop. Another guy on Instagram, it's like... all right, wait, we got a YouTube comment here. All right, do you have any commercial? No. So guys, yeah, there are no commercials. I'm not monetizing this stream because this thing's gonna get copyright hit to hell because of the music and stuff in the background, which is what it is. So yeah, you want to do super chats to donate or whatever, perfectly fine. Or if you want to join me on Patreon, because as you guys know, I got laid off. I've been looking for a job like crazy. So if it wasn't for Patreon and this YouTube channel, I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage. So thank you guys for keeping me not homeless and, you know, begging for money and doing drugs or whatever. Anyway, so we got Google Earth. So how do we find that culvert? Super easy. You're going to have your 2 maps set up. You have Google Earth Pro, and then you just have your regular Google Maps. I like Google Maps because you can bounce back and forth with terrain features. Let me show that as well right here. So right here, what you can do is you can bounce between the different layers. Go to terrain because it makes the water pop a lot more. So it's kind of easier to kind of pick the area you want to try to start looking for stuff. Again, that's just kind of like how I like to do it in general. Let me turn this back on because I don't want to miss any of this broadcast. And if you guys want to, Jake's Bait and Tackle is having a flea market all day. I will be stopping streaming here around 11:30ish, I believe. And I'll be heading down there real quick to say hi to everyone. And then, as you guys know, lots been going on in my life. 2 weeks ago, I got laid off, and then my wife's puppy had a horrific accident, jumped out of a vehicle at 25 miles an hour, massive fracture to her leg. So I have puppy duty when my wife starts working in the evening. So yeah, lots of fun things going on there. But anyway, so getting back to this. So if you want to try to find some culverts, Google James River culverts. It's a great place to start. And then from there, it'll probably give you a list of different culverts that are there. And then you also have this thing called ChatGPT Pro that you can use as well. Let's see, Prince George's. Let's go James River. Let's go let's go with this one here. All right, let's go with Turkey Creek Culvert. And then ChatGPT will give you coordinates. Boom. So let's go with Turkey. Turkey Island Creek. All right. So there's Turkey Island Creek. And we'll get that right back there in a minute. Where is this one? Here we go. Turkey Island, Virginia. Boom. And this is kind of why I like going with the two map situation here. You see how on Google Earth terrain, it pops so much better. It's a lot easier to kind of narrow down sections of it. So now that I know where the island is, now I'm going to flip to here. And that way I have a better idea. Turkey Creek Island. Okay, so. All right, so that's that bulb right there. Okay, I see where it is. Turkey Creek Island, there it is. So there's a culvert in here. That looks like a culvert. At the end of that. Again, not all the time will you find the good ones. Here's a culvert right through here. Joy's Pond has a culvert. Interesting. And let's go Sweeney Creek. Ooh, interesting. Where's this one? Last culvert I'm going to check, and then we're going to get back to the show. Because what he was fishing, it looked like there was water on the backside, so it was an island for sure. Oh, I think, that might be it. It might be Bell's Island. Bell's Island is way up here. Not Bell's Island. Process of elimination. This is how she does it, man. What other islands are there? Nope. Like there's a culvert there. See how you can zoom in on 3D and you can just look for current breaks? That right there could be a culvert too. That is an outflow of some type right there. Interesting. Can't get into that pond, and I'm just going to go down the main river. There's an outflow right here. Right here, that's interesting. There it is. So many culverts. Wow. There is one. That's it. Google Earth is wild, guys. Like how, yeah, it looks like there's a culvert right in there. So this is near Dutch Gap conservation. That kind of looks like one of the areas that he was fishing. Yeah, so Josh Wars, this is Google Earth Pro. It's free. I believe it's free. This is Google Earth Pro I'm using right now, but then I also have available, I'll have Google Maps too, because it's a lot easier when you switch to terrain mode just to see the water pop on the map, and then you can kind of go from there. And then you can use ChatGPT Pro and Google, and then you can just start asking questions like, where are all the culverts on the James? And then search. And you can also search for government documentation, because the government knows where every culvert is because they put the culverts in. They put pipes in. If any water flows into the James, it's documented just for environmental reasons. Either it's the river keepers, it's for pollution. There is a government document somewhere that says that we put this in. So you can't have a pipe put into the ground without the government knowing about it. Think about building a home. Think about how much red tape there is to build a house. If you want to build a house, that is documented. And that a lot of that stuff is public information that you can find. You just got to be worth Googling it. So all this stuff you can actually find. I will go back to doing this on another screen. That way I can't. But as you can see here, this is the terrain view on just Google Earth. This is just a Google Maps. This is plain old Google Maps here. And you can do terrain and you can do satellite. Well, with satellite, you see how it's a little bit harder to see the water. This will give you more detail, but from a super 1,000-mile view, it's really hard to see certain things. So I can switch to this, and then I have a generic idea like, oh, there's a creek here that I want to look at. And then I can switch to satellite, and then I can zoom in and be like, oh, okay, cool. Now I can take this, and if I want even greater detail, flip to Google Earth Pro, and you can really zoom in and get a 3D effect. And then you can also, on Google Earth Pro, which is really cool, is you have this little tab right here, which is historical imagery. So this is probably the most up to date, which is 2020. The last picture was taken right here is January 1, 2025. And you can move that stuff around to different times a year, which again is pretty cool for like, so example, if I scroll right here with Google Earth, let's go back to, let's find it right here. When was a blowout tide? There it is. All right. So you see right here on this image how the water looks. Let's move it a little bit here until hold on. There it is. So this tree, it could be that tree is new, or this is actually low tide. Because if I move it again, all right, damn it. Oh, this is the absolute cold spell we had. Oh, that's so cool. So you can see how this is all iced over. That's wild, man. This was taken in January 1 of 2025. So you can see all the ice out. That's cool. That's so cool. Okay, I know you guys actually want to get back to the action, so I apologize. I'm spending way too much time on this, and I don't want to bore you guys with this. Let's get back to actually fishing stuff. Apologies. I know you guys probably don't want a whole Google Earth lecture like I've been giving you. So let me get back to the action here.
Pro Tour as a rookie, and this year Jake Lawrence is that guy.
We got one more question here before we go. So are you just typing in Google Earth Pro in your URL, or does it just offer like an option button for it? Yeah, so just on Google, type Google Earth Pro, and it should let you download the application and let it install on your PC or your MacBook.
System.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the 2026.
Josh is like, it's not boring, it's fascinating information.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah, it's great map study.
It's not just those guys who win Angler of the Year and compete for them. So many. I mean, look at Nick LeBrun. He won back-to-back on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, including here on the James River in 2022. Went to
Bill's
the
Bass on Instagram says, was it Connery Creek? Yes, it's Connery Creek is where Keith Boucher was fishing. Yes, correct.
You look up and down the list. Nick Hatfield. He just won the Heavy Hitters event out on the Bass Pro Tour. He came from this same feeder system. It has been ideal, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a BPT, we don't know how many fish other people have caught, but we've seen Banks catch enough fish where he'd be in contention for sure.
And it's all about catching fish. That's what the sport was meant for. Stop 5, presented by 7 Brew Coffee. James River continues in a moment.
Since 1975, TH Marine has been the leader in boat parts and accessories. powering every journey on the water. From trim handles to jack plates, we've built a legacy that keeps you running strong. TH Marine, built for life on the water.
Won't be long until she's at the helm. She is so into this.
Not if you drive like that, Dan. Come on, show her what I got. You can thank me later, Dan.
You sound practice creep.
Let's get in the weeds. Now we're talking. Yes, got one. Won't be long until she's dragging you out here, Dan.
I've never won one of these before.
Am I looking there?
Here, you look at the camera.
Here we go.
We know the best co-anglers aren't always handy with the net. And sometimes don't even chip in for gas.
We know
the bite is always better with friends.
We know the most important fishing trips aren't always tournaments.
We know it all starts
with having the right gear.
We know.
We know bass fishing.
Gear up for the moments that matter. Tackle Warehouse.
It's easy to think it will never happen to me. Every year, boaters are injured or even killed when their outboard strikes an underwater object like a stump or a log. Well, now you can have peace of mind knowing that you and your loved ones are safe from that danger while on the water with the leash from Precision Sonar. It's a seatbelt for your outboard that's 5 times stronger than steel. When it comes to yours or your loved one's safety, why take a chance? Get your leash from PrecisionSonar.com.
Looking for a refreshing change? Say.
Oh crap, I'm not sharing what I'm looking at. I'm sorry guys. It was a commercial break. I was going back to the old mapping map. Let's go entire screen. Let's go right here. Sorry. Let me do something silly here. Let me see if this works. All right, cool. But again, guys, this is how you do it right here. Let's get back to the action right here and see what's going on. F1 fishing. Pochet spot was off limits last week for local tournaments. Why now the Chick Dam is off limits in the Tackle Warehouse in Pochet's Creek? Dude, you're talking about tournament politics. I have no effing idea. It's because people complained enough about the Chick spot because they think the Chick spot is that much better. Now, what's this highway and what's this building in the backdrop? All right, let's just play it and find out.
See right there, it just, the tide's not all the way up yet, and but I think the tide is up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be up down the lake over that little walkway, so we may run. It's a long run, it's a lot of gas and burning a lot of time, but we're gonna, it's just not right, you know. There's still some fish there, but it's not right, and we need to hit it at the right time. So we're gonna send it way back down the lake where the tide's coming up at, and that water will be flowing into that pond.
They might run into a,
which should have some fish biting, and then we're gonna run all the way back up here and kind of make a little milk run again and see if we can't snatch up a big one. If we can get out of here, it's pretty sketchy up here. A lot of rocks.
All right, I found where he's going.
Shallow ones too. So.
All right, this is where he's fishing. See the culvert right there? So the camera was panning like this. And then we can try. Interesting. Yes, this is where he was fishing.
Yeah, we're just tough. I'm starting to some of my offshore stuff here a little bit. Just hit that seems like that kind of
Interesting. But that's where he was.
I got a bunch of other places I want.
All right, back to Sharon, guys. Sorry about that.
But it's pretty tough on me right now. I was kind of hoping that some of those bigger ones would pull out with that low tide this morning. But it just seemed like a bunch of little ones. So I got plenty of time. But I feel like, you know, I just need to get one good one just to feel a little better, and then I can kind of settle down. I'm trying to keep my mind from going a million different directions right now. There's so many things I want to do, but there's also so many things that's not that
it's shallow
productive. So
it's shallow there. Yeah, it is. Ray Jones. Oh, got one. Guys are using a lot of fluorocarbon, which I don't know if I'd be doing that on the James because of just how big the fish are. Yeah, there's the barnacle issue where like braid can get cut very easily with barnacles, but I don't know. Or I just jack up the size of my fluorocarbon to 20 plus. But I don't know. That's just me.
We'll flipping fish. Just running around here. I got a couple more stretches I want to flip. And then I do want to hit some grass, but I'm kind of waiting for it to get all the way in before I do that. I think that my offshore grass is the best whenever it's pretty high, so just a waiting game right now.
Sounds like Chad Mrazek's trying to avoid getting spun out a little bit.
Kolb, sir?
Yep. That's right. He's got that minnow on his mind, I can tell.
Small limit.
Still a good limit.
What?
After 19.5 pounds yesterday, he's only got about 6.5 pounds today. Now, it might be that he still makes the 30-man cut with just over 26 pounds for him now, but he's not fully confident that that'll be the case. How about Mitch Crane?
He's still trying to dial those docks in. He's going to come to one of these docks in a minute and catch 3 or 4 off of it. One of them be a big one.
Hey, Mitch, we're live. Tell me about this new dock.
All right, we pulled up to a new dock. It's got a good solid fish. It's got a high chance to catch a good one off of it, I believe. So the tide's getting right. The current's picking up on this stuff. So getting a little bit of breeze, so my fish are starting to bite. I just need a little bit better size than what I currently have. I have 12.4, and like I said, the goal is 15 pounds minimum, so we got 3 more pounds to go, but luckily we got all 2-pounders. We got one right at 3 pounds, and then the rest are all in under 2.5 or under. So we have a lot of room to cull. 1 4-pound bite really go a long way, or a couple of 3s. Got a place I've not even been in practice as well that I've caught them in the past here that's really good, but I think I need the water to come up just a little bit higher for the tide to be right to go to that place. So I'm kind of biding my time. We'll hit a couple more docks, then we're going to try to go get some upgrades in a place that I've not checked all tournament. I'm really excited to go to that place. I think the time's right. Yesterday I didn't go to them because I didn't need them, but today we need them. So fingers crossed that they're there and that the water looks good enough that they're willing to bite. That's the key, is if the water's going to be clean enough that they'll bite, because it does like to get dirty in this area. But not happy with what we have, not real disappointed. It's been slower. I knew it would. I think if we had some wind, my bite would really pick up. It should get better.
Yeah. And again, going guys with what he said, just to make sure that I'm actually adding value to this. And let me know in the comment section below if there's something you want me to talk about or anything like that. Why is this bite dying right now? Why does it seem like it's getting kind of a lull? Look at this tide chart. When you have this big crest right here, that's dead slack. That's absolute dead slack tide. It's the worst time to generally fish. And depending on where you are in the river, you're kind of approaching that. If you are a Chickahominy guy right now, if you bet on the Chickahominy and going down south, you can tell that this crest, this very top of it right here, is really between 9:30 and noon, is really if you're at Chickahominy. And if you are down near the Hopewell area, you can tell that crest is really starting to hit around 10, 11 noon. And again, that's what we consider that would be slack tide because the tide's no longer moving, but you're actually at the back end of the high tide process. And what will happen though is you'll have 2 to 3 hours in the day where it's just the fishing sucks and it slows down because the water's not moving. So you'll usually have, with a high and low tide, you'll have sometimes that it pushes really fast. And again, not always, but a lot of times. So with a high tide, that water's going to push in, and by the time it's getting closer to the end of the incoming tide cycle, it really starts to slow down. Well, in high tide, what happens, those fish will spread all over the place. So if you have like a spatter dock field, they can now go way back up in there, or they're just not going to eat. You know, usually fish in tidal situations, there are bite windows on high and low tide that they're actively feeding, and you'll have these flurries, and then the bite will shut off because they're like, we're good. I'm going to wait until the next cycle to start feeding again. And then what you're trying to do is just nickeling and diming it in between. And I think that's interesting because that's why all of these culverts, these water discharges are playing, is you're going to have a group of fish that are always going to be around them. You're going to have that consistent bite, which is massively important, you know, if you're fishing an event kind of like this. And of course, when this happens, it goes straight to commercial break. So I don't know, that to me is fascinating. Because this tide cycle, I wouldn't consider the best type of tide cycle to be dealing with for a tidal water event. You're having to rely on more of a consistent bite to do it. And that's where those culverts and those discharges are really coming into play. You're going to have constant current no matter what the tide cycle is like throughout the day. So potentially this fish will feed a little bit more active. It's a very concentrated area. You know, when you have a poop pipe, like I call it, or a discharge or a culvert with current, you have distinct feeding areas and you have distinct eddies. So it's a very easy place to visualize and look at to actually be able to fish it effectively. When you are looking at F1 fishing, I'm totally confused as to how there would be a different strain of bass in Richmond than in the Chick. Aren't anglers constantly taking their best 5 Chickahominy bass back to Richmond? Ladies and gentlemen, we have common sense in the chat. Absolutely. So that's why I was perplexed on the little short video I put on Instagram and Facebook about what he was talking about. Because you were correct. If you stock, close to 1 million F1s in the Chickahominy River over 5, 6, 7 years, and because the tournament's moving them to Osborne and Hopewell, those fish will intermix 100%. And then you'll have local tournaments that will also be taking place and the Chick that'll pull them back. A great example of this, guys, is a Mattawoman and Aquia Creek. Aquia Creek is a really good creek on the Potomac River. There are Wednesday nighters that happen there. I think they start in April and go through September. And so Aquia has some of the best grass, has some of the best habitat right now on the river. This is obvious stuff. So you're going to have a good fish population there. Plus, every Wednesday, fish get dumped there. So it gets restocked. Mattawoman, pretty good habitat, but then every major tournament in Maryland goes out of Mattawoman. So that place gets replenished as well. And so these places that probably would have been okay creeks, okay areas, get habitually restocked, and that does move populations around. Call it retreads, call it whatever you will. I think the James kind of has that with the F1 program where they get kind of mixed and matched. And in the beginning, I think when the F1 program was still in its might, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember every conversation I've had since I've talked to about 500 people at this point. If all you did was stock the Chickahominy River for 6, 7, 8 years, during that stocking program for 5, 6, 7 years, you will have, generally speaking, a higher percent population of F1s down there, 100%. And then the rumor mill gets started. That's what becomes local rumor, local tales. You go to the Chick to catch F1s. Why? Because for so long, that's what you did. And then that's the rumor mill that gets spun into national media of like, of course it's the Chick, because that's where all the F1s are. It's not also said like, yeah, but if every major tournament's out of Osborne or Hopewell, those F1s eventually keep getting moved out into the James proper until there is balance. So now, does that mean the Chick doesn't play? No, there's still massive fish in the Chick for 2 reasons. One, that's because the F1s are stocked there. You're not going to be able to catch them all and move them out of there. 2, you're going to have local tournaments. A ton of local tournaments go out of the Chick. And they're going to bring F1s back into the Chick. And number 3, the habitat. The Chickahominy River is its own system. Again, I had Dr. Whitmore on, who does the biology reports for Appomattox, the James River, the Chickahominy, the York River. And I'll put a link to that actually in the episode description to go check it out. It was a really fun conversation. And we talked about that yeah, the Chick is just a damn good river in of itself when it comes to habitat and everything else. So yeah, definitely go check that out. All right, guys, I'm putting the link in chat right now. It should be on Facebook, Instagram, all that places. That is a link to the biology report for the James River. Yeah, exactly. And thanks to contrary, I spoke to Pro Kurt Dove, who used to crush F1s and the pits up at Richmond. They're clearly there. Yeah, of course they are, because they get, like you said, dude, they get moved. I mean, let's just say you have a 200 boat tournament that goes out of Hopewell or Osborne, whatever, 200 boat times 5. And on the high end, let's just say on the high end, every single keeper bass they catch is an F1. So 200 times 5, that's 1,000 F1s that get moved to Hopewell. and let's just say that keeps happening. Let's just cut that in half. Let's just say it's 500 each tournament, or F1s get moved to Hopewell, and you have one tournament every 2 weeks. So let's say 10 tournaments, 10 times that's 5,000 F1s that get moved in 1 year. Just to kind of give you a vibe about math and stuff. So it's insane. Yeah, guys, go check out the biology report. It's really good. Or you can also, if you want to, you can go listen to it on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio as well. It's a really good episode. I love doing all those biology reports. It's a lot of fun. And I'll actually, in the YouTube episode of it, I'm actually going to right now put a link so you can listen to it. Perfect. All right. On the YouTube side of things, guys, I just changed the title to include the biologist's name. The biologist's name is Margaret Whitmore. I'll put that in chat as well. So you can just type into my YouTube feed, James River Bass Fishing Report, Margaret Whitmore. That should be able to come up as well. Really, really, really good, fun episode there. Let's see here. Can F1s reproduce with northern strain? Yes, they can. They can reproduce with northern strain. The thing that scientists are miffed on, they don't know, is if the children of F1s have the same growing potential, because it's about genetic coding. And this is, I mean, eugenics. And there's some validity to it. You know, you always try to breed your most powerful race horses, those powerful thoroughbreds, you breed those to get their offspring to hopefully have another winner. Which is why what Texas does is so awesome with the Texas program, because what they do is like, oh, you have a 10-pound fish, we'll take that thing and breed it in our insanely expensive facilities, and we're specifically targeting those genetics.
Just keep working my way up.
So if you breed two 10-pounders together, in theory, you're getting those better genetics. That is a perfect system.
I still don't feel safe about
the problem is it's more expensive to do what Texas does than buy F1s. I mean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Texas Department of Wildlife Fisheries, I could be completely off on this because this is the rumor I heard. They got a massive payday by either it was Yamaha or Toyota, and that's why it's called the Toyota Texas Fest. 10-15 years ago, I mean, they got millions of dollars to build out their infrastructure in Texas, millions of dollars. And so not only is Texas the biggest state with some, I think, the biggest fishing license sales, they also get these grants from major corporations to build out their facilities. So they have money to piss around for these projects, which is awesome. So in Virginia, what we need, we would need Amazon to say, like, here's $10 million, go build a facility like Texas has. That's what you need.
And then
it could work. It could work.
Get these cypress trees.
But yeah, in a perfect world, Texas's program is kind of the
Seems
blueprint.
like in practice, I pretty much caught them doing everything, but it was just random. I mean, I caught them on trees, caught them in grass,
Other than
caught them offshore.
skeet,
But
it looked like everyone in the top 10 was in the chick last year. Seems like most big bags are coming out of Richmond this year. Maybe the chick has finally been beat on too much. Well, partially, I mean, multiple things can be true at the same time. I think it's not black and white. I think the chick is still good. Some years the chick is better than others. The other thing is the Chickahominy is also major for its brass, its hydrilla, its milfoil, and we had
Down
the
on
coldest
James,
winter
so
in like what the last 30 years.
have a few
The upper
places I
Potomac,
found
the
on the
James
run-in
River, and the Susquehanna
yesterday that I
froze
wanna
solid.
stop
It
and
was
hit
cold as
in the
shit.
James.
Grass hates cold, and so when you have that
So we're
deep
good. We're
cold,
staying
it
calm.
kills everything off. And hydrilla specifically, if
everything apart.
hydrilla is the main player in the chick, hydrilla always grows up last. So
Whereas
other
I've never
grasses and
been
pondweeds
really
will
can't
grow
wrap
up
my mind.
first,
I don't really
and then
know
the
what's going
hydrilla
on.
beds will get thicker as the year goes on. So I
I
don't think the
wasn't up
grass
there
has had a
before.
real chance to really get back ingrained in
definitely
the
don't
chick,
think it
which is
got
what helps
all
the
that came
fishing
all the
really
way
in the
in.
Chickahominy. So that's one part. And then of course, like we talked about with the pressure and stuff, because the year Skeet won,
trip to the James
the chick
from
was good,
Razak,
yes.
doing pretty
But
good.
then think
Took a
about
lot
that
of his
year,
knowledge
you
from
had
the
all
Potomac
those people
to make
fishing
that
it
work, but
that moved
he's,
fish back. So
catching
it's a
a few
delayed
here at
effect.
James
If the chick
River
was good
stop
last year
number
and you had
5.
38 tournaments pulling fish out of the chick, the next year the James is probably going to be a little bit better. And it kind of will bounce back and forth. And again, in my opinion, the other thing with the chick, and we keep hitting on this, is the tide charts there, F1. This is so important to kind of talk about. Is look at the tide charts for this tournament right now. This is the chick bridge. Okay. So absolute low. And usually it's this part of low tide that's better is when that water is almost empty. It's right down here. Well, depending on your boat draw to get up into the Chickahominy, and again, this is at the mouth of the chick. If you go up into the chick, absolute low tide is going to be a lot later on. And let me see if I can actually pull up that chart right there too for a minute. But anyway, with that said, so if you're trying to go up into the chick, you're not getting the best tide until the very end of the day. That's another reason I think the chick is probably not playing as well. If you had a different tide cycle to where you had more low tide fishing earlier in the day, I think the chick would play even better. But because of the tide the way it is, I think a lot of people opted out not to do that. Then also it's the rumor mill. Yeah, and then Joshua has a great thing here. Sometimes it's not worth the run. Exactly. So, and this was actually mentioned by I think it was David Smith was a guy that was in the top 5 yesterday. Let me get his name real quick. Yeah, Dustin Smith. My apologies. And he said like he listened to my podcast and a couple other podcasts about like, oh, everyone goes to the chick. And so he's like, I don't want to deal with the traffic. And I wonder if that mind cycle also plays. If you research it and everyone says the chick is the greatest place ever, and you think everyone's running there, I think a lot of people are like, well, I'll just camp here, have 8 to 10 hours to fish, and not worry about that long run. Again, you have which place is the best. You have strategy. There's so many variables that go into it that to me is just absolutely, that's fascinating about this. It really is. Because again, you'll have the milk runners. The milk runners are the people that are absolute river rats. They're dialed into it. Ike and Ellie's, Chaz Currington, who's been on the show a bunch of time. He's a river rat. He lives down there. And those guys that know about 58 spots and they're like at 10:47 a.m., I'm going to hit this spot for 10 minutes. And then at 11:47, I'm going to go here, 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 and here. And those guys are going to run the tide. What's interesting is the local idea of getting granular with the spots and everything has to be perfect tide-wise versus I'm going to pick an area and just grind it through high and low. Now, y'all know my opinion. I suck at running tides. I'm a Potomac guy. I'm a grass guy, I guess. I like to pick an area and just grind through it. Yeah, sometimes maybe I'll get crazy and do a little bit of a run, but these massive runs from like Aquia to Mattawoman and fishing all those areas, I just feel like it's wasting too much time. Pick a good population of fish, work it through high and low, and you're going to get your bite windows. Every tidal fishery has 2 bite windows. And if you have the patience to just not leave a creek or not leave a generic area through 8 hours, you will catch fish. But people aren't patient, understanding like there's going to be 2 windows of about 30 minutes at least, worst case scenario, that there will be a flurry in high and low tide. But if you constantly run, you won't be there when it gets good. And so that's why, like for the Potomac events, I always tell people, okay, go to Belmont Bay, go to Aquia Creek, but don't try to do Aquia and Potomac Creek and Mattawoman and run up to you can't do that all in the same day for most people. Again, yes, LeBron James and Michael Jordan can play basketball that none of us can. Chaz and Ike and Ellie, they can do things like that no one else can. But then you look at how many people just do the simplistic strategy of like, yeah, I'm just going to sit and Chickamauga all day. And, oh, that guy had 20 pounds. Well, how do you do it? Well, he was smart enough to fish it through the tide and learn those micro places, which are so, so important. Again, if you want to run the tide and you're good at it, God bless you. It's insanely hard to do. And if it doesn't work out, it's all or nothing. If you mess up a milk run, it's not that you don't win, you bomb. If you mess up camping in place, you probably finish middle of the pack. It's definitely, I think, like a home run swingers kind of mentality. I'm going to get up to the plate. I'm swinging as hard as I can. I'm either going to strike out or hit a home run, versus a camping strategy where I'm just going to figure out an area and maximize it to the best of my ability. All right, we're actually back live. The commercial break is over. So let me get to that real quick, guys. Sorry about that. Here we go. And then, guys, yeah, again, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out in the algorithm. If you guys could just give me a like up on the YouTube video, it really, really helps promote this video out to more people.
I don't feel blind. I just feel like
I'm also not advertising
in
this,
the beginning
so
of the day, I was kinda
there
using it a
is
little
no
bit
commercials
just
on
to
my end. If YouTube
make
puts
sure
commercials,
I'm
I apologize. That's not me.
on the right
if you
part
guys
of the
want
grass
to do,
edge, which I definitely feel like
if you guys
want to
do super chats, great. Otherwise, just enjoy this stuff.
No, I don't feel blind. I just feel like maybe I made a little bad judgment call this morning, but you know, I'm just gonna have to take advantage of what I've got going on now here. I feel like I'm starting to kind of understand what's going on.
KD Cut Fishing.
I did catch
any
my 2 big
smallmouth
ones
being
using it
caught up
yesterday,
by the
but
14th Street Bridge. Lane was just there.
Everything
so
else
far,
pretty much
no.
came,
There is,
you know,
not to my knowledge, there hasn't been any
without
smallmouth
it.
caught.
Darn chatterbait.
You'd have to go way the hell up there to get to the
Crank
smallies.
bait.
Well, I mean, you're right. That area, yes.
But this is definitely the way I like to fish. It's just they're not everywhere.
Yeah, I agree with Fishing. I agree with you. I think he's downstream. The other thing that's interesting here is the water quality thing, and I can see why people did run to the Chick. The water's a lot cleaner right now in the Chick than it is in James proper, but that water's not bothering him on the James. But I think the James water, generically speaking, is a lot dirtier than the Chickahominy.
Let's go over and check on.
I don't know how much that mud actually affected
those docks. Waiting for the tide to get right around these docks. A lot of these main river docks along the James were really good to Mitch yesterday.
Over a piece.
Yeah, he's on check for sure. Yeah, 100%. The other thing to again keep in mind is like the people that are having success on the James, they're in general they're fishing some kind of constantly moving water, a culvert, a pipe, a water discharge, a waterfall. They're fishing current, so it's almost like they're breaking away from fishing normal tidal kind of stuff, which is interesting to me. What the hell is he doing? Oh, this is our brain surgeon. I want this guy to win now. The lore of this guy is awesome.
These docks were really good.
I didn't know Dennis made a lot of money either.
Today they're
Good to
being a
know.
little mean. Trying to steal his baits, it looks like.
Oh, I thought it came out.
He got it.
Didn't come out.
He got it back. We're taking a look at Blake Hall here. He's had putting together a couple of good days. Yesterday, 18 pounds, 8 ounces. Today, adding to it an estimated 15.11 puts him in 3rd place. Blake Hall, one of those people that's making the Chickahominy work, just inside the Chickahominy, not very far up there, but just inside of it where that tide's coming in. But he's had
Tide is coming in. What the hell is he talking about?
Having a pretty good tournament.
Tide is not coming in, dude. But you can also tell like he's more at the mouth of the Chick just because of the water clarity, and you can actually see that right now on Google Earth, I believe. Let me. Actually, I think you can see it on.
So far, his best tournament of the year for the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals. Had 11th at the Kissimmee Chain of Lakes earlier this year. 34th at Hartwell. Pickwick Lake 20th, and now well inside the top 10, inside the top five unofficially. One of the few guys that's been able to get into the top 5 just down there in that Chick area. Just inside of it, really. Kind of
How are y'all? Good. Trying to catch a bass.
We've had a lot of jump around here. We haven't had any luck, but there's been a lot of jumping.
Yeah.
Look at the belly on that
Y'all
son of a
wanna pack
bitch.
a bait or
Good
something?
God.
I caught him.
I don't know. It's got to be uncomfortable to be that fat, to weigh 700 pounds.
Yeah, I'm in a tournament.
Can you not tell by the camera there, Jeb?
Looks like Cal Lane's
Look at
gonna
the glide
donate,
bait, guys. Look at the glide bait he's got in his box
some
right there.
baits to the
This is what I caught him on pretty good this morning.
folks fishing off this dock
Yeah,
here.
so y'all can try it out. I was just drop shotting it.
Yeah, thank you.
Heck yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Oliver.
Y'all from around here?
Yeah, we are.
Heck yeah.
Yep. What's your name?
Cal Lane.
Look at the back of his
Yes, sir.
jersey, you idiot. Apparently you
Y'all
can't
have a
read
good
either.
day. Good luck to y'all as well.
I bet when he walks, the whole dock shakes.
Pretty nice gesture. Give up a pack of baits. Maybe that young man will drop shot a
Should have tossed him some of those.
Richmond
Anyway.
James River bass right off of that dock.
You see that bridge right there?
Change his life.
All right.
Good luck. Thank you. Made a little pit stop on a riprap wall. Tried to keep that whopper plopper honest, but can't get it to bite. And this kid and his dad fishing on the bank, so gave him a couple packs of worms. Hopefully they'll catch a few.
What bridge was that in the background?
Cal Lane's trying to keep that whopper plopper honest. He knows what that bait can produce on this river.
What do you got? Are you guys pro whopper plopper or buzz bait? If you had to pick one.
Too murky, a little too stained for it. If you can either get down river a little farther, or the water's a little.
What
clearer.
bridge is that? What bridge is that? 295? Ooh, we got the guy says 295. Okay.
So he's headed back up after donating a few baits to the folks fishing off the dock there. Now running back up the James River here at stop number 5. Tackle Warehouse Invitationals brought to you by 7 Brew Coffee.
Appomattox. Right? No. I am so stupid. Why did I say Appomattox? I just had a stroke. Sorry. Yeah. I see where he is. He's going. I don't know if he's riding down or up. Wait, where is... Trying to find out exactly where he was on that bad boy. All right, guys, we got another about 20 minutes here before I'm going to head down to Jake's Bait and Tackle to say hi to everyone. If you guys want to come on down, I'll let you know kind of when I'm there. Come on screen. Come on screen. I also want to quickly do this little plug here. If you guys want to, you can go head on over to Patreon. I only have 2 Patreon positions left with Patreon. Basically, guys, it's the only way that I'm allowed to do this as much as I do this and pumping out all of the content. Right now, I only have, I think, 2 positions left on Patreon for the package, which is the Weekend Warrior Club membership. It's only $6 a month, which is less than a pack of Sinkos or jackhammer chatterbait. Every month, you get 5% off all your orders, either online or in person to Jake's Bait and Tackle. They have a massive online inventory. 10% off your orders to Tiger Crankbaits. 10% off your orders to Catoctin Creek Rods. Access to our private Facebook group community. All of the podcast episodes to the public are uploaded ad-free to Patreon. I also have 5 exclusive online fishing tournaments that are catch, photo, measure, release, that you can fish from a boat, a kayak, from the bank. It doesn't matter. I guarantee between $2,000 to $3,000 each tournament. And that's guaranteed whether 2 people sign up or 1,000. That's a base layer sign up that I can backstop to make sure that happens. Tons of members only content. Every time I fish a tournament, I automatically take photos of all the baits. I upload it just for you guys, and we'll do little powwows after my tournaments, giving you the absolute juice on what's going on in all of our local waters. That's all for $6 a month. And also, if you want to sign up for the year, I cut 10% off that. So it's only $65 for the whole year for all of that stuff. I got 2 more spots left, and then I'm shutting that price down indefinitely. And the next club membership fee is going to go up in price. But if you sign up, you're grandfathered in for life at $6, period. With inflation and all the stuff that's going on, it'll always be $6. If you sign up, you get locked in and grandfathered in before I raise prices, because again, kind of got laid off. And yeah, that's kind of been a problem with, I'm trying to get a job. I'm working on it. But otherwise, if it wasn't for you guys, I literally could not pay my mortgage. And I just want to say thank you for all my Patreon supporters that are keeping me going. I really appreciate it. Let's get to some fun stuff now. Okay, let's get to some fun stuff. Still got 30 minutes to kill here before I head on down to Jake's to go say hi to everything. And our next fishing tournament is going to be in July. It's going to go July to September. It's going to be the Dog Days of Summer battle. So that's going to be fun. Let me get this up here. Okay, cool. So I haven't missed anything yet. Just waiting for the feed to come back. Anyway, so it's interesting with this. Also, you can talk with water clarity here, which is really important. They're on a commercial break right now, so if you go all the way down to the chick area, you see how this water is black? And this is a great example here. You see this lake? See how this is black imaging? Black on a satellite is gin clear water. When the whiter it gets, the muddier it gets. So if I go up here, where's the riffles? There it is. You see how this comes out a little bit more white? I hope I can say that right? White or brown. Brown is obviously that, but if it's also white, that means the water is really off-colored or tinted. So just by looking at that there from a Google imagery, you can tell that the chick system generally has cleaner water going through it. And as you can tell, as you get farther down the system and it drains into this open area and gets down to here, it gets more darker. It gets more turbulent. It gets more dirty. So that's the one benefit of fishing the chick, is you're going to get that cleaner water, which is, usually because of grass and other things like that that's filtering it through. But thought I'd just share that with you. Looks like they are back from commercial break. Again, before I go right back to that, just to kind of give you ideas. So at the mouth of the Chickahominy River, absolute low tide is going to be right after 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock area. But a lot of people are not going to catch it because of when the weigh-in is. So I think because of the tidal charts right now, it's actually going to hurt people that are fishing the Chickahominy River system.
The scope, and then throwing something a little lighter out there to catch his fish.
Oh, got a good question here.
Looks like Mrazek.
The dark waters above Walker's Dam. Well, dude, you know what? Why not we just do some exploring together? Stop sharing the screen. And let us do a little bit of exploring. Let us explore. So you see all this black water. Oh, you're not sharing the screen yet. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. So you see all this black water right here. Osborne Land, making sure I'm at the right place and not having a stroke. Yeah, I am. Okay, cool. So this is right here is the James River proper. This fish system right here is the Chick. And as you can tell, you see how black all this water is right here? So this is River Rest Marina. Now what you're talking about is, here it is. This is the dam everyone's talking about that's off limits. There's been a lot of tournaments won right through here. This thing is a massive, massive dam. It's hard to tell from this for some reason. Let me adjust it. Hold on. There we go. So this is January. This is February 2019 is the image I picked on Google Earth, just to kind of let you guys know. But as you can tell right here, you see this massive dam. Oh, wow, crap. So this is Chickahominy Lake, which has had rumors of 15-pounders in it. And then this is the dam on Chickahominy Lake that dumps into, I guess, the Chickahominy River proper. And this is a Walker's Dam. If you guys want to Google, it's called Walker's Dam. Google Walker's Dam Chickahominy, or Walker's Dam Virginia, Walker's Dam James River, something like that. It'll come up. And this is a little, what is it called? Like a levee system, so you can go into it. A lot of terms have been won here, and I do not know why it's off limits. I really don't. But again, if we go back to the map, I think, oh, which one was it that they used? Come on, don't you have a summertime map somewhere? That's good enough. All right. You see how black this water is? And it's black above and below the dam, of course. So my point is, like, again, getting to your point there, F1 fishing. Yes, there is, of course, everything above the lake section, which is Osborne Landing and all this stuff. This is 100% cleaner water. But as it dumps into the Chick here, you'll still have a massive section. You can see right here where it kind of gets dirtier and stained. You'll still have a lot of sections of this river that's going to be a lot cleaner water. But as you get closer towards the James proper right here, you're going to see it's going to get muddier the closer you get. We got Big DTV. Big DTV says, are you going to Jake's today? Yes, sir. I am going to Jake's Bait and Tackle today. As soon as I get done with live streaming the tournament, I'm going to be going to Jake's. And then huge shout out to, where'd you go? I just saw him. Sorry. Anyway, let's go back to the feed here. Oh, huge shout out to Roy Jones. Roy Jones just became a Patreon supporter for $6 a month. Thank you guys so much. So we got one more spot left, I believe. One more spot left. And then, yeah, I'm going to be closing that down. And we'll be raising the membership fee a little bit more just to help, for me to pay for my mortgage until I get a job, until somebody wants to employ me. And again, guys, if you want to sign up for the year, $65, I'll give you guys 10% off. You can just pay for it all at once and just be done with it, not have to worry about monthly credit card things. And again, you're guaranteed 5% off all of your orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle. You can shop online, in-store as well for that, and so much other stuff. I don't remember it ever being off limits until Randy Howe won there. Kurt Dove used to fish it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff at Walker's Dam that's, I don't understand. Don't understand, but it is what it is. All right, let's get back to the action here as we finish up this stream. All right, because I gotta go to Jake's Bait and Tackle, and then I have to go take care of our hurt puppy.
Great frog tip from Mitch Crane this morning. He was putting on a frog clinic in there, and he said, it's hard to know when a fish hits a frog and misses it, what you should do, how you should continue your cadence or what to do. And he said, basically, you have to read the bite. If that bite is super aggressive and he comes up and slams it, you want to really scoot that frog away from that fish because he's, fully engaged. You want to, he's chasing something, and there's some competition in the area, other fish maybe trying to get it too, and you want to really move that frog and get him to come after it. But if the bite's like a really soft where they just kind of boil up under it, then you just want to kind of leave it in its zone and maybe twitch it one more time. Just give it a little movement to sort of irritate it. Just keep it in his face, keep it in his field of view there. And a lot of times that'll provoke a second bite where the fish will actually get it. So good stuff from Mitch Crane. Let's dial up Cal Lane now, check in with him. You can see how these water systems up here really change with the tide. I think earlier today he was at this same one and there was water pouring out of those on a low tide, and now it's all shut down.
Yeah. Ran down here to get to that place where we were throwing over that little walkway yesterday, and had a boat sitting in there, so I'm not gonna be able to fish that place, but it's all right. We came back over to this other one. It's crazy how you can tell how it's changed just from, the tide coming up. There was current rolling out of here this morning, and it's going back in now. So it's crazy how it changes like that. It's not necessarily the best time to be here, but since we were already all the way over here, I figured it'd be worth making a couple casts in. We're probably gonna go fish a bunch of shade lines and stuff like that, and work our way back up the river and wait for the tide up there to fill up a couple of those places that we can get into, and hopefully they're pumping some clean water out up there.
Are you happy with your weight right now? What do you want? And what time do you have to be in?
Yeah, we're doing it 3:30 today, so we got a long day. I'd like to, thought one was, rock was sitting on there. I thought it was one looking at my frog. I'd like to, I got a 2-pounder in there, and I really don't want to weigh him in. I really would like to catch another at least 4-pounder, you know, get to anywhere high teens to 20, I'd be happy with. No idea what Poche's got going today, but I know I saw him at the ramp yesterday at 8:30 in the morning. He was waving at me, and I was like, oh boy, we're in trouble. So I don't know what he's got today, but anywhere in that high teens to 20, I'd be certainly happy with. I'm happy, very thankful with what I got, but I need to just keep going. I need some bigger bites.
That place was just gushing water this morning.
Boy, that just looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I mean, one should just absolutely crush that thing.
Looks like Blake Hall making a move there, zipping around in some of the marsh of the James River. Blake Hall having a good day. Unofficially third place. Had 18.5 pounds yesterday, adding to it today at least 15. They're saying 15.11 on an estimation, so he's on the move somewhere. Trying to improve that weight. Best tournament so far of the year for Blake Hall. Had a good finish at Pickwick, 20th place. He's going to better that this time around. I think he might be somewhere down there in the lower end of the Chickahominy. Guys are moving around trying to stay up with that tide here at the James River, stop number 5, brought to you by 7 Brew Coffee. drone over the James River. Checking in with Shaw, Bank Shaw. Just still needling those visible targets up and down the river. Lay down here, little dock pilings there. It's working for him.
Yeah, guys, sorry about that. I just realized I muted myself because I'm an idiot.
Is it the 19 from yesterday? No, but it's 15 pounds, and it's got him in third place unofficially.
So I'm going to repeat it because I actually had myself muted because, of course, I redid the tidal charts a little bit here. So we have on the far left, you have Hopewell. In the middle, you have the Chickahominy River Bridge, which is the mouth of the Chickahominy River. And then you have Shipyard Landing, which is way up into Chickahominy River proper. It's way up. It's closer to the dam. And as you can tell, high tide today was at noon at Hopewell. High tide at the mouth of the Chick was at 9 a.m. and then high tide, absolute high tide up into the Chickahominy River was at 10:30. So let's look at the low tide. Low tide, the first low tide of the day was at 6:32 a.m. up near Hopewell. Low tide, absolute low tide of the Chickahominy River was at 4:17 a.m. And then the next time will be at 4:10 p.m. Low tide here inside the Chick proper, deep inside the Chick, is at 4:54 a.m. and then 4:57 p.m. So the last 2 hours of the outgoing tide, you're not really catching in the Chickahominy River today. You're just not, depending on your boat draw when you have to get back. If you look at the mouth of the Chick, then it's going to be 4:10. And with that boat ride, there's no way in hell you're getting the good bite, in my opinion, on the Chick if you're doing a lower down. I was Derek Smith. I was over here making sure my Bluetooth wasn't connected. Yeah, that's my bad. Sorry about that. No, I muted myself when I walked away to get a drink of water, and I just started to ramble like an idiot. So sorry about that. So anyway, guys, hopefully you can hear me now. But yeah, so this is just kind of updated tide charts. This is why I think the Chick is going to be really not playing this week, is because if you are in the theory, the hypothesis that the back end of the low tide is the best time to fish in general, well, you cannot catch that in the Chickahominy right now, depending on your boat draw. That's just not going to happen. You want low tide. You want absolute low tide to be around 2 p.m. If absolute low tide up in the Chickahominy was around 2 p.m., 1 p.m., and you have that whole day to catch that falling tide, I think the Chickahominy would be playing a lot better. But that right there, that's just me. That's just me, honestly, with it. Sorry again for having my blonde moment. Let's get back to the action here.
On the tide to get a little higher is Bank Shaw. You can see the spots up on that. You can see that concrete embankment that he's got out in the middle where the tide typically gets to, and then over here on the left side as well.
Yeah, you can see the water staying there.
What do you mean getting higher? I just told you the charts. I mean, well, that's a weird view.
It's got maybe another foot to go. 8 inches to a foot.
Guys, the fishing is going to be slow right now.
15 pounds for the day, 34.3 for a 2-day total. Plenty enough to get him through the 30-man cut. He'll be comfortably ahead. It remains to be seen how far he might be in front.
F1
in that Angler
fishing.
of the Year race.
The broadcaster is so
You know,
wrong
right
on the
now, there's
tides.
only-
Great insight from you on the
There's
title
only
strategies.
two guys
Yeah,
that could
absolutely,
gain
boss.
any ground on him. That's Cal Lane and
Should've
Keith
done this with Smith,
Boucher. So he's going to extend that Angler of the Year lead in all likelihood, unless he just completely flounders day number 3 tomorrow.
He'll have a death grip on that thing going into the St. Lawrence.
Don't want to be chasing. You want to be that guy out on top where you can fish comfortably, you can fish with a lead, and it looks like that's certainly going to be the case for Bank Shaw. As coming into the event in the Angler of the Year race, he had a 36-point lead.
I'm predicting that Tackle Warehouse Invitational and the Bass Pro Tour will have some big Angler of the Year points leads when it's all said and done this year.
Certainly going to be the case
So
for
he said
Jacob
high
Wheeler
tide,
on
but
the
as you can
Bass
tell,
Pro
guys,
Tour
high
as he
tide
goes for
was
4 AOY titles in 5 years.
High tide was at
That's
12
crazy.
if he's
and we
fishing
mentioned
up
Matt
near
Becker a short time
Richmond.
ago. Becker came
So he's
in
not getting.
from
There's
the
no
Tackle
high tide
Warehouse
bite
Pro
left
Circuit,
at all
qualifying for
him.
2023. One Angler of the Year as a rookie on the Bass Pro Tour, or else we'd be talking about 5 straight
He's way up in the
AOYs
chick.
for Wheeler on the Bass Pro Tour.
Chad, we're live.
Chad Mrazek here.
Still plugging away at it. Just got to one of my, probably my best grass stretch here. And there's still boats around, but nobody was really fishing it, so stopped in here. Got bit first cast, and then haven't had any other
Ryan
bites
Jones,
since.
thank you so much
But
for
we're
your
getting
Patreon
closer to
support.
where
I really, really appreciate
want
it.
to check that
Thank you
offshore
so
hole up
much.
here, and
Roy,
I think
I just had a
if
stroke.
things
Sorry.
stay slow, then I'm just
I have
gonna
not eaten today.
start running around, fishing some new water. Throw a frog a little more. But you could tell the pressure with these fish here, especially on this grass stretch. There was like 4 boats here this morning. And this is where I started. And it was like in practice, I could pretty much just pick a spot on the stretch and go down it and get bit. And then first day of the tournament, it was completely different. And then
Chaz is in 15th.
today, I feel like
Chaz needs to get a bigger one.
it's only gotten a little worse, but they're definitely here. They're just smart, like cranking the grass whenever it gets a little tough.
Poche leaving the door open. Yeah, Poche is leaving the door open. Again, I just think this is why we thought the weights were going to be
Staying
down
lined up
with
on
all of
the
our
edge
coverage this
here.
week. The tide, I just didn't think the tide was going to set up, honestly. But I like to fish a lower tide because I'm lame. I'm not a cool kid that is really good at fishing high tide.
But there isn't near as many boats up here as there was yesterday. I don't know if it's just the time I'm here right now or what it is. There's still a bunch, but yesterday was a madhouse. I
He's
feel like
fishing
there's
grass.
less like boat traffic too, like for pontoon boats and stuff like that way up here. It's kind of a madhouse down the river a little bit. Dirties up a lot of the areas and
Sleepy Creek, West Virginia, Sleepy Creek,
I don't know,
Virginia,
once this-
oddly
once this
specific.
tide drops out
Sleepy
enough, I
Creek,
feel like
Pennsylvania. There's like 17
probably
Sleepy
going to
Creek
start
reservoirs.
focusing a little bit more on the creeks, just a little bit more high percentage stuff.
Oh, Josh, there's no sound? That's not good. Can you hear me now?
19.5 pounds yesterday from Mrazek, only 6.5 today. So some concern as he knows where he feels like that cut line's going to fall. Probably 36 pounds. Or I should say about 26 pounds, 27 pounds. And Mrazek awfully close to that right now. Here's
Just had
Cal
a
Lane.
Big old mudfish.
You mean a
Try
bowfin?
to eat my frog. I mean, it's a giant one.
You don't want to tangle with
Yeah.
a big mudfish over a
There's
iron
another
wall.
little. This is the other little access point to that. The same one with the same little pond we were fishing yesterday, and
But you can't go there, why?
can't go there because Keith Boucher and Keith Carson So it's a good little, obviously a good little area. That
Can
some
he
other
fish
guys
over the
found.
dam? I mean, he's doing it. I don't know. He's doing it live to the whole world. So either he's really dumb and got caught cheating, or it's illegal. I mean, just to.
Oh my gosh, that looked like
You know
a
what I
pretty
mean?
decent one, to
Like,
be
he knows he's got a
honest with you.
camera in the boat, so I'd
Blow
like
it
to
up,
think he's
did,
got
but it
enough
just kinda
brain cells to know, like,
sucked it
huh.
under.
I want to smoke one.
Huh. I don't know. This one wasn't near as good as the other ones have been. I just really don't want to hook that bowfin. That thing was huge.
There you go. Hey, you called it correctly. Yay. Roy Jones back and Obi mate. Yep. Sure is.
That was that bowfin again. I'm about 99% sure. Yeah, that's that bowfin.
I want to see him hook something on the other side of that wall so we can watch him wrestle.
I don't want to
The other
mistake
one
it.
was the other one was
6-pound
wood.
bass.
This one is that
He's about
corrugated
right
iron.
there.
Got a lot better chance to break off on this, I think.
Can't see him.
That would be a much more of a spicy battle right
That's
there.
redfish.
And his boat's a little farther back. He can't get quite as close.
I'm all out on mudfish. See if that one will blow up again. It looked like a pretty decent one.
I'm not so sure it's fish that get mesmerized by a frog as much as the angler that gets mesmerized by the frog.
And the viewers.
Yeah, it's just you just can't help yourself to just watch.
I would agree.
And every twitch, you're just like, it's the same sentence, and you're, how could there not be one there?
Mm-hmm.
How could there not be one there every single time? Because it looks so good.
I got a feeling
if you let them,
they know about that one. They know about this one as well. So this one's probably been fished. too.
Everyone knows about everything. There are no secrets.
if you let a real live frog go across that pond, it couldn't look that good.
More and more things are telling me to just stay up that river, not get sucked into fishing this kind of stuff.
Darn tootin'.
I'm trying to make the run down here at least worth it. Get something out of it.
$20 pounds and 1 ounce for Cal Lane yesterday. Today, 15.5 pounds. Problem for him is Keith Pochet has caught 15.6. So in the grand scheme of things, he's only gained a couple of ounces on Pochet, the leader.
She's got a big ball of fry she's guarding. It'd be nice if it was a bass. Thing's about 7-8 pounds.
Good lord, that is a big bowfin.
We're gonna get out of here. This ain't the move.
A move is at hand for Cal Lane, one that he hopes will move him up on our unofficial leaderboard, sitting currently in second place, which is exactly where he was at the start of the day. You can get in on the excitement of Major League Fishing, the Bass Pro Tour, the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals, and bring it right to your living room with Fishing Clash, one of the most realistic fishing adventure and competitive mobile games on the App Store.
A really good comment right here.
You can
which
earn
is
powerful
that,
gear, travel.
That wall looks like where Iaconelli had the controversy about casting over the wall. Interesting. Yeah, but I think that was for bass, BASS, which again, none of these organizations have the same rules because it's all stupid. Just let's have consistent rules all the way through about where you are and are not allowed to fish. But again, like you said, the dam up at the Chick where there's constant current there. There's constant fish that live there without an issue, and you're allowed to fish over that dam without a problem. So it is weird that like you have rules for thee, but not for me. But then again, guys, I think we're getting close to the end here on there he is. Yep, there he is. Hi, Brian. Brian from the Basscast, guys. Go over to the Basscast radio and go check him out. He is live from the James River. He'll be there at the weigh-in to help out with all the weigh-in stuff as well. So, and we got something here. Someone could be stocking big bass in something like this. Dude, absolutely, they could be. But what are you gonna do? All right, last little thing as we get to the last segment here, guys. The last segment of the day. I'm putting in chat. If you guys know and have been kind of following, if you guys are members of the channel, that you know this. But if you're not, had some issues. Lost my job. I got laid off of the government. Doge came in and cut some things. It is what it is. Not gonna complain. But then the very next week, my wife's puppy decided to jump out of a window on a vehicle moving 25 miles an hour. And she had a little bit of an accident. She ended up breaking her leg. It's pretty bad. She ended up having a massive compound fracture of her back leg. And we had to rush her to the ICU because she was losing a lot of blood. And we had to get a bunch of bolts put into her leg for her to survive. And if you guys don't know about the vet office compared to people, they don't say like, we're going to do the best we can to save your animal and we're going to figure out ways for you to survive. They're basically like, pay us the money or we just put the dog down. That's basically what they do. It's not like people and how they deal with the medical stuff. So without a job and my wife working part-time, we are now $13,000 in the hole with credit cards and stuff. So we're trying to get we have a GoFundMe that we just made. I put the GoFundMe in chat right now for Mina's GoFundMe fund, just to kind of help us out if you want to. Again, you do not have to donate to her surgery recovery fund, but if you have a Facebook page, if you could just share out the GoFundMe, that would be really appreciative. Again, we just got her back home 48 hours ago. She's recovering nicely. It's just a lot that we're dealing with right now. I'm really hoping I find employment. I'm trying the best I can. But right now, because of Patreon and YouTube and Jake's Bait and Tackle, one of my sponsors, we're staying afloat, basically. But with this surgery, it's kind of it's hurt us pretty badly. So GoFundMe is in the chat. If you could, all I would ask you to do is just to share it out on your Facebook page. Her name is Mina. Her birthday is actually today. Is her first birthday, and we celebrated by taking her home from the hospital after she almost lost her leg. So please just share out the GoFundMe. That's all I ask. I don't really want to ask for money from you guys. I get really annoyed with begging on my part. It makes me feel like a shitty human being in this spot. But just share it out. I really appreciate it. And with that said, let's get back to talking about fishing, because this is all sad shit and I don't like being depressed and all that. Anyway, just to kind of give you guys, because they are on commercial break right now, we are going to go back to our favorite thing, which is the tidal charge, because I just think like this is so important when it talks about strategy. Hopewell area, absolute high tide is at noon and it's going to be slowly dissipating down. High tide down at the mouth of the Chickahominy River was at 9 a.m. and it's slowly pulling out. And then high tide was at 10 a.m. up into the Chickahominy proper as well. This is one reason I feel like, because of how the high and low tides. Now, one person could argue is like, well, Tom, look at the tide situation right now. At 9 a.m. is high tide at the mouth of the Chick. Well, that means the rest of the day it's slowly pulling out. It's like, yes, but usually when you have absolute high tide, the best bite on that outgoing tide as it's pulling water out is actually closer to the end, because that's when all the fish start to get concentrated in key areas and all that bait's blowing past their face. So just something to kind of keep into mind there on my hypothesis why the Chickahominy is not producing, though I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong, and let's get back to the action.
In this watershed, this week it's been a lot of guys on the Appomattox River. It's closer to takeoff at Osborne Landing. And starting to get a little better as far as vegetation is concerned. You've heard the anglers talk about all the competitions that are held here and the big bass that get dragged up around Osborne Landing. And that's made the Appomattox River, the area around takeoff, a little better, it feels like these days. But I like what Mitch Crane was talking about earlier with relation to how far past the spawn some of these fish are. And they're maybe, a little thinner. They're a little closer to being fed back up for the summertime here on the Appomattox. Would you agree with that, Rob?
Yeah, it seems like the northern strain largemouth farther up the river.
What the hell are you talking about?
Spawned earlier and recovered earlier. A lot of those have little guts on them. They've been doing a lot of eating, but...
what the hell are you talking about?
Crane pointed out yesterday with some of his fish catches, those Florida strain down in Chickahominy.
Shut up with the
still look
stupidity!
pretty thin. They haven't quite fed back up. And that was one of the reasons Crane decided to stay up the river there and go after the ones that got about a half a pound to 3/4 pound more weight on them. Mrazek here looks like he's going to try and take a swing at some docks.
Are the bass? I didn't know they segregated themselves. Apparently, guys, largemouth segregate themselves. We're the northern strain, we're the southern strain. You stay on the south side, we stay on the north side.
Collection is growing.
Oh my God. The commenters now are saying this stuff.
They're pretty correlated.
Just a tough day for Chad Mrazek.
Making a little move here. Fish that whole stretch. Probably my best time to fish it in practice-wise with the water level, but they just weren't there. So we go fish offshore for a little bit and try and catch a few.
You do think back to what Chad Mrazek said, that before we got a camera in the boat with him, by the time we got a camera in the boat with him, he was, a little more top water, a little more, power fishing, a little more old school tactics. But he said prior to that, he was using forward-facing sonar to build his bag yesterday. And Robbie doesn't have it available today.
Yeah, he's just trying to spy some of that stuff offshore.
Here's a look at the guy who is having, as you look at the unofficial leaderboard, the guy that's got the best day on the water going right now, and that's Blake Hall. He is the only angler who is better than 16 pounds for the day. His estimated total is 16.3. Now, he had a good opening day of 18.5 pounds yesterday. So, Blake Hall, coming into the day, was sitting in 6th place. He's a guy that's got a chance to gain some ground. The problem for him is that he was 5.5 pounds behind Keith Poche at the beginning, and Poche still caught 15.6. So, he's been about a pound better than Poche today, but he needed to make up 5 pounds overall. So he's gained a little bit of ground. He's going to be in good shape to make the 30-man cut, and then you never know what happens tomorrow.
Mike Jones. Mike Grogan, thank you so much. Mike just made a little donation for Mina. Hope to see you on the James one day. Absolutely, Mike. Thank you. I really appreciate it. We got Matthew that says he's in my fishing spot. How do you guys like the announcers that they literally just said that northern strain are up north, the southern strain is down south, and that the southern strain is skinnier than the northern strain? Oh my God. This is how misinformation gets spread, because a dentist randomly said something on the water and they were like, you know what? That's got to be true. That's got to be facts.
Tackle Warehouse Invitational circuit. It was 2 years ago, this same stop 5, where he had a top 10. That was on the Potomac River that year. So there's a good Tidal River result for Blake Hall of 6th place, won $17,000. That was back in mid-June. So about this exact same time of the year, but on the Potomac River when he had a top 10.
Yeah, you can kind of see some watercolor mixing right there. It's a great shot. That's some of the...
Look at that edge.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff you get from a drone that you can see that with your eyes, but you can't really get the full effect of, how that edge runs, how those two different seams of water come together and meet right there. And always those kind of places are just draws for bait fish and bass. It's just a
well, that's intelligent
different form of cover. Those tidal fisheries, you always have currents moving in and out and pulling one way or the other, and different seams, different water bodies emptying into another water body, and it creates different seams.
Good. Keep saying the obvious. We appreciate it
Get
here.
a little closer to what he can see right there. You know,
Would you like you to say water
difference
is
in
wet next, please?
Watercolor.
Please say water
And that
is
could
wet.
be what he's patterning down there. You never know. You know, maybe there's several of those seams around that whole lower end, all those sloughs around that marsh and island. It looked like one of the other places we saw him had, you know, kind of the same thing going on.
So obviously he does not have a camera on the boat with him, but I always wonder what anglers who have the drone show up at their locale must think. You know, why is the drone above me right now?
Yeah,
it's got to feel like he's
Well,
having
to
a
be
good
honest, if you're some of these guys that think northern
Poche
fish stay north and southern fish
is
stay
having a
south,
good
you might
day.
think it's a weird ass
Not
bird
as
that's
good as
humming in the
yesterday
sky.
when
I
he
don't know.
caught nearly 24 pounds. But compared to everybody else, he's got one of the best days on the water going, 15 and a half pounds.
It's been a while since we checked on him. He's come out of his pond. He's coming out of his little hidey hole. He's out on the main right now. But, you know, I tried to peg, you know, I tried to pin Poche in the box of, like, can only catch him when he's in his little boat up a creek. I tried to do that a long time ago, and it's a big mistake, because that guy can just catch him going down a bank. I remember what he went to.
I will say, guys, for all the hate Keith Poche gets from some people, his boat's pretty badass. Like, I really think he's got a badass little rig.
Boat, just taking waves and just, I mean, catching giant smallmouth. It's not, you know, everybody.
I mean, if they can throw over it, I can boat over it. I don't give a crap what they say, right?
Show them to me. I'll put them in a headlock.
That might be a good saying for him. If they can throw over it, I can boat over it. I think he was referring to the pond that we've seen a couple times throughout the Derby that people have been throwing over the wall. I don't know where I'd get this thought
Poche's got a
from, but
tank.
Perhaps Poche has thought about jumping that wall.
Just being like
Dude, that water's not moving at all.
As we get back to Mitch
Not
Crane.
getting any kind of.
I believe he fished this dock yesterday.
Well, we went in a creek that I had a lot of confidence in, and it just didn't happen. I didn't even get a bite in there. I think I went in there on a slack tide, or on a tide that just wasn't good for it. I know they live in there. But we came back out to the docks. First dock we've hit, we caught 2 little ones and had a couple little bites. But I don't know. I think I'm just going to stick with the dock strategy for the rest of the day and just grind it out and see if we can catch 20 or 25 more fish and see if we can get some 2 3/4, 3 pound bites. You would think that eventually you got to get a better than average bite, but it hasn't happened yet today. And we've probably caught 20 or 25 fish. So I know these docks have the fish on them. We still don't have any wind. And I believe that's what's hurting the most right now. I don't think these fish are ultra active, but I'm not going to flip. I'm just going to keep a moving bait in my hand. But
Can we get one more
confidence
person to
is
like
okay.
it? We're
I mean,
at
at
9
12
right now.
pounds, I
Please,
sure
please,
don't wanna
please,
weigh that in.
please. Can we get one more person to like
That
this
is
stream?
definitely
If you're on YouTube,
not what we
Facebook,
wanna
Instagram,
weigh
just hit
in
that thumbs up
but
button,
we're late
like it.
flight,
I
we have a
want to
long
get this thing
time.
up over
I feel
10
like
likes.
we can move up a couple pounds if we just stick with this dock program and get the right bites. But I know I can tell you what, it's hot out here today, but that ought to have them positioned right there on those poles, but in the shade. But if we get some wind, I think it would really help. I may make a run and try to get into a little bit different tide rotation and see if that'll help pick up an extra bite or two, because right now it sure does not seem near as good as it was, as it has been every single day, practice and all. I mean, so we're about to make a move, and we'll see if that brings us a change in quality.
Well, the other thing too is like if the tide's not right, they just won't eat. I mean, it's just they could be like thickly trout on the Tidal too.
Y'all don't lose faith yet.
Unofficially for Mitch today, between 12 and 12.5 pounds after he caught 20 pounds yesterday. 2-day total exceeding 32 pounds, plenty enough to make the 30-man cut. But he's got designs on potentially winning this thing, and because of that, he knows he has work to do. Let's look at our unofficial top 10 as we roll into a break. Keith Poche and Cal Lane, as they were in first and second to start the day. Then Blake Hall, Bank Shaw, and Mitch Crane still up there, rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, so it's taking about 17 pounds a day, guys. So I'm actually kind of
time on the water.
I'm
camaraderie.
Pretty impressed with that, honestly. It took about 17 pounds a day right now if the tournament ended today to get in the top 5, which is pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with that. So, guys, here is the plan. I am about an hour late. I've been streaming for 3 hours today. I am going to be live tomorrow morning at 7:30. At 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, I will be live for the final day. So if you guys would like to join us again tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. I'll be live. We'll be doing tidal water breakdowns, Google Map stuff. If you have any questions for me or stuff that you would like to see me cover, please go on over. You can message me on Instagram, Facebook. You can also email me, fishingthedmv@gmail.com, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer on the show. And again, in the episode description is our Patreon. You can go follow us over there. Patreon members guaranteed get their questions answered on the show. We also do giveaways, so many things. But yeah, I am heading to Jake's Bait and Tackle in Winchester, Virginia for their fishing and flea market. And then again, we had multiple people also donate to our puppies GoFundMe page. Really appreciate it. And if you don't want to donate, you do not have to. Just share it out. Just share it on your Facebook. I would really appreciate it to get the word out there about that. Medical bills suck. Jim says, thanks, Fish On. Absolutely. 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, the final day. Who will be taking it home on the James River? We'll find out. I will see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.